Prisoner administration in backroom discussions over Iran's nuclear program.
Fox's Jillian Turner. James Lewis, the lone suspect in the 1982 Tylenol poisonings that killed 7 in Chicago, was found dead yesterday at his suburban Boston home.
Lewis was convicted and sent to prison for trying to extort Tylenol maker Johnson & Johnson, though never charged for the actual poisonings. Investigators believe Lewis tampered with the Tylenol bottles in an act of revenge, believing that faulty sutures made by the drug maker led to the death of his 5-year-old daughter years earlier.
Fox's Jeff Manasso. More than 40 million people in the Northeast are at risk of flooding through tomorrow, where storms are blamed for at least 1 death.
Water was gushing with such strength that it collapsed highways and it swept away a woman in her 30s yesterday afternoon. They got about 8 inches of rain in 15 hours. Crews had to work through the night, at times using boats to rescue people stranded in their homes or cars.
Fox Weather's Katie Byrne in Highland Falls, New York. Disgraced sports doctor Larry Nassar was stabbed several times by another inmate at a federal prison in Florida yesterday. Nassar serving decades in prison after admitting sexually assaulting athletes at Michigan State University and at Indianapolis-based USA Gymnastics, including Olympic medalists. America is listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
He tried to get away. 84, but it feels like 91 degrees downtown. You've got a clear radar, and tonight's low falls to 63. I'm Harrison Silcox. Here's what's trending at 3:02. A Marion County Sheriff's deputy is in the hospital.
What I can tell you is that shortly before 11:30 a.m., there was a physical confrontation between an inmate and Marion County Sheriff's Office deputy inside the Sallyport at the Adult Detention Center.
Indy Metro Police Lieutenant Shane Foley says the inmate stole a jail wagon and eventually crashed it. They were taken into custody and hurt a few more deputies in the process. Police will give an update on the sheriff's deputy's condition later. Sergeant Heather Glenn will be laid to rest today in Tell City. Kurt Darling reports.
The funeral for Sergeant Heather Glenn in Tell City.
I know many of you know Heather primarily as a police officer, and she was, but she was also so many things to so many people.
Glenn was shot and killed early last week. The pastor leading the ceremony recalling Glenn's love of animals.
There were some dogs somehow that got into the school today. I don't know if some of you saw that. And one of our friends said they believe that's Heather calling them in.
Glenn will be buried at Greenwood Cemetery in Tell City. Kirk Darling, Network Indiana.
The Indianapolis City Council will vote tonight on Mayor Joe Hogsett's gun control proposals, even though they can't actually be enforced under state law. Lee Williams with the Second Amendment Foundation tells Wish TV it's a political game by Hogsett.
I would say that what they're doing is classic misdirection. They want their residents to look over here rather than look at the crime.
The mayor says he wants to send a message to state lawmakers. There's yet another challenger in the race for Indiana governor. Donnie Burgess reports.
He's the former state attorney general and Elkhart prosecutor. You know him as Curtis Hill. He's running as a Republican, and he's got plenty of competition on the GOP side of things, with Senator Mike Braun, Lieutenant Governor Suzanne Crouch, and Fort Wayne businessman Eric Doden. Hill was accused of sexual misconduct a few years ago, but was never convicted of any crime. Hill says he's a proven conservative leader with the courage to stand up for traditional values. Donnie Burgess, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
You're 1 minute away from traffic and weather. It's 3:04.
Summer's in Indy, and since 2001, Rhino Shield has been covering Indiana homes and businesses. Just ask Mike.
I was watching TV one night and saw the Rhino Shield ad, and I thought, well, if they can do a house, they can probably do a building.
And Rhino Shield's not paint, it's better.
So they came out and they gave me a price, showed me how the Rhino works, how it lasts, and how the guarantee works.
Business owners, you too can get the 25-year protection of Rhino Shield right now for 10% off the regular price.
They started on the building. They waited for us to leave, and they worked Saturday and Sunday so they wouldn't affect our business at all. This was the great part of it. I came back Sunday night, and you couldn't even tell they were here. There was no paint on the ground. They did a fantastic job.
Here's owner Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl. Go Rhino.
Hey, don't vinyl. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
With traffic on the 5s at 3:05. What's going on, Matt Bear?
All right, Harrison, rock and roll and closed. The westbound 465 shut down on the south side from 65 over to 70. It has caused this This delay that will not go away for the next month. It's westbound 465 from Arlington over to I-65. That's stop-and-go traffic. Again, the closure lasting for the rest of the month. Also placing traffic on northbound 65. That's stop-and-go Raymond up to the south split. And inbound 70 already loaded. Rural on into downtown. Traffic sponsored by Mattress Firm. Don't miss Mattress Firm's July 4th sale before it ends Tuesday, July 11th. Shop today to get cooler sleep and save $500 on the new Tempur-Breeze mattress. Plus, you'll receive a $300 instant gift. I'm Matt Bear. Follow us on Twitter for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
And the forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
For today, mostly sunny, comfortable humidity, high temperature of 85 degrees. Tonight, mostly clear, low temperature of 63 degrees. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Ryan Morse for 93 WIBC.
And I'm Harrison Silcox on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Hammer and Nigel.
Can you believe these characters are weirdos?
So let's rock
it! We have got a lot of stuff to dive into. We are dealing with some serious stuff here this afternoon. My name is Jason Hammer. Big Nige is out, and filling in Indy Spanglish on Twitter, Jerry Lopez. Now, I know your Twitter handle. Like when our executive producer came to me and said, you're going to be working with Jerry Lopez. My first reaction was, who in the hell is Jerry Lopez? But then they mentioned what your Twitter handle was. I was like, oh, Spanglish. All right. So welcome to the program, my friend. I promise we're going to have a lot of fun. We'll probably piss a few people off along the way. If you're still down with it, we can have a show today.
Hey, definitely happy to be here. More than happy to piss off some people. And yeah, can't wait to get into it with you.
We'll get a little bit more into your world coming up a little bit later on. But tonight, big vote taking place at the Indianapolis City County Council meeting. This is basically Joe Hogsett's gun proposal. Now, let's jump in the hot tub time machine here. Let's go back a number of weeks. This is what Joe Hogsett wants to have happen in Indianapolis.
Purchase a firearm from 18 to 21. A complete ban on the sale of military-style guns, such as the AR-15 used in our most recent attack on IMPD officers. This package will end permitless carry policies opposed by law enforcement, as well as the concealed carry of handguns anywhere in Marion County.
So that's what we're dealing with tonight at the City County Council meeting.
I mean, the reality is it's not going to end anything, right? It's going to do as much for crime as the bootleg putt-putt is that we have out here in the Memorial Circle. So unless criminals have agreed to not shoot each other on AstroTurf, this is not going to make one bit of difference either way. It looks good, and like we heard earlier, it's misdirection, but it's honestly, if they're being 100% serious with their constituents, this is just a formality so that they can come back and say they tried to do something, but nothing's going to happen.
So this is a campaign year. This is an election year for Joe Hogsett, and this is why, as you put it, the putt-putt greens are out here. This is why this is happening tonight. Where was all of this action the last couple of years? Now, first of all, the action tonight will never happen because even Joe knows you have to change the state law for any of this crap to come true. And that's not going to happen. He might as well go up there tonight and promise free unicorns for everybody. Anybody that shows up at the City County Council meeting tonight, next year you get a free chupacabra if the Indiana state law changes, which we all know is not going to happen.
Sure, and one of the things he wanted to change in particular is he wanted to change the buying age from buying a gun from 18 to 21. Another thing, he wanted to ban certain types of semi-automatic guns, pistols, and shotguns, and we just became a constitutional carry state.
Right.
So I don't see what he expects.
Well, he wants to get rid of that, too.
But where? Just in Indianapolis?
Just around Marion County, apparently.
So you have all your rights until you come to the city.
Right. And I can't wait for Guy Relford to come in here in just a few minutes and absolutely destroy all of the crap that's going to come out of this guy's mouth tonight. But here's the thing, Jerry. You know as well as I do, all of the yes men on that City County Council, they're going to stand up and clap like seals when he goes up there tonight and says, this is what we're proposing, vote on it now. Even though they know it's not constitutional, they know they have to change the state law for any of this stuff to happen. They're going to go up there and vote yes on this.
Yeah, why don't they just do two things? One, get rid of Ryan Mears, and then secondly, go ahead and just tell all the criminals that guns are illegal in Indianapolis. And maybe they'll stop using them.
I'm glad you bring up the Monument Circle putting green because I walked around downtown as I normally do before the show. Sometimes I go earlier, sometimes it's right before the show. I've been doing this probably for about the last 4 years. And what I saw today was 2 officers, not 1, 2 on bicycles making their laps around, different officers. I saw multiple police cars parked around Monument Circle. Now, I can't help but think if this type of police presence had been around in the last couple of years, maybe, just maybe, you wouldn't feel like you had to close Monument Circle.
Well, not only that, but they've closed off different ways you can travel into Monument Circle. So certain ways are just a one-way now. These are all measures they could have taken before any of this stuff. Force people to stop. I remember when I was younger, we used to come downtown and just drive in circles around the circle. That's all we did.
Right.
Nobody was really out here getting shot. The loudest thing you had was people playing their music and just loitering kind of.
Right.
Now it's almost scary to be a parent and have a kid come downtown. So I think there's a number of things they could do outside of the bootleg putt-putt green that could really rejuvenate downtown, also make it safer.
And the thing is, the reason you're seeing all of these extra law enforcement officers, Boss Hogsett wants this to be such a success so he can expand it out around the circle. Ultimately, his goal, his vision, and I think he's even talked about this, is to make all of the circle a gun-free zone by these private business owners that are renting the space. That's his way around a lot of these legal loopholes. But I'm just telling you, we saw what happened in Broad Ripple. When you fence people in, it's fish in a barrel, man. Yep. That big shooting that took place about a month ago, people couldn't get in. People couldn't get out. Once you fence people in, I see a lot of these guardrail things around this one little quadrant here on Monument Circle. Man, we'll see what happens. I'm happy there's police downtown. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me twisted. I'm not bitching about that. I'm saying this should have been in place a long time ago, and you wouldn't have to pander by closing off the circle.
It definitely looks like a Band-Aid on a really big wound. So I don't think it's going to get the goal that they want accomplished as far as, trying to limit crime and stuff like that downtown, because obviously these vendors aren't going to be open at 1 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. So
and coincidentally, all of this ends in November of this year.
Right.
Wow, what a coincidence that in an election year where Joe Hogsett's on the ballot, this goes away in November of this year. Jerry Lopez filling in for Big Nige today. Big announcement earlier today, Curtis Hill has announced he is going to be running for governor. He put out a statement, quote, "Hoosiers are hungry for a proven conservative leader with the courage to stand up for traditional values upon which our republic was built. Our campaign will emphasize a positive vision for Indiana, restoring faith in our institutions, protecting our children, investing in law enforcement." He goes on and on and on. So, you good with this, Curtis Hill?
Man, I like Curtis Hill. I think we kind of talked about it before. I like him. I like what he stands for. I know he's going to be in a tough spot after the AG race that he tried to run and dealt with all the negative ads and the pushback and the accusations. But I think it's a good time. I mean, Braun, I think we agree he's the front runner, but it's just been kind of quiet off in the background.
He hasn't had to say anything. It sounds like he's kind of got that lead to where he can kind of cruise control right now.
Yeah, but I think it's kind of dangerous, right? I mean, Eric Doden's out doing things. You see him out doing things. The lieutenant governor's out doing things. So I think that it's a good time for Curtis to jump in if he's going to jump in. Would have loved for him to make this decision a while ago so he could build up some steam. But I don't think anybody's so far ahead that they can't catch. No party to me seems super energized at the moment.
And the thing about Curtis Hill is I like a lot of his policies. I mean, he is a conservative dude. He's not afraid to stir the pot a little bit. I have questions about whether he can win this thing. And if you can't win it, what's he going to do in this campaign? Is he going to be the Indiana version of Chris Christie here where, all right, I know I might not win, but I'm going to burn this thing to the ground and I'm going to put dirt out there on every single one of these people. Anybody that gave me crap for that little scandal of slapping ass, guess what, pal? It's coming right back at you.
Could make for a very, very interesting election season, I'll tell you that much.
The negative campaign ads that are going to be coming out against Curtis Hill, lowering tax, more like slapping ass. You know those are coming, right? He has to know those are coming. And I think he's going to join Rob Kendall this Wednesday to talk about his campaign. All right, hit us up on social media at Hammer and Nigel. That's us. You can also hit my friend Jerry up here at Indy Spanglish. Matt Bear, what's going on?
All right, Hammer, looking at westbound 70 stop-and-go traffic, Sherman Drive into the north, split it on the south side. It's a delay going westbound, 465 through Beach Grove, stop-and-go traffic, Arlington Avenue over to I-65. Cannot go further because westbound 465 is closed from I-65 over to I-70. That happens for the rest of the month. Watch out for those west side streets today. They will get busy. Traffic sponsored by Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield. They've teamed up with the Indiana Fever and Common Threads to provide local schools with information for nutritious meal preparation. Learn more at anthem.com/fever. Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield is the trade name of Anthem Insurance Companies Incorporated. I'm Matt Bear. Follow us on Twitter for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
Yeah, tonight's going to be interesting at the City County Council, and I just can't wait to see all of these Democrat reps act like seals and pretend like, oh, yeah, this is a great plan. Yeah, we're going to get rid of constitutional carry just in Indianapolis, knowing damn well the state law has to change. It's going to be interesting. Now, Jerry, let me ask you a question. Have you ever seen the film Scent of a Woman?
I have not. I've heard of it, but I can't recall it.
Great Al Pacino movies of all time. We're hoping tonight, if he shows up, which, let's be honest, sometimes the mayor doesn't show up for certain things. If he shows up tonight, maybe, just maybe, he will rip off Scent of a Woman like he did a couple years ago.
The last year, our community has been at a crossroads. Now here's Charlie. He's come to the crossroads. We've chosen the right path. He has chosen a path. It's the right path. It is a path of preservation that leads to character. It's a path made of principle that leads to character. And it is indeed in that character that we enjoy a bright future. It's a valuable future. It is the right path. Protect it. Embrace it. Protect it. Embrace it.
Oh, come on!
It will not let you down. It's going to make you proud one day. I promise you. I promise you.
I mean, it's the same damn speech from Scent of a Woman. Did he think nobody would notice?
Joe Biden wrote that speech. That's who wrote that speech. That was Joe Biden.
Right now, we got cloudy skies, 84 at the American Standard Cooling Weather Center at 93 WIBC. Hammer here from my friends at American Standard Heating, Cooling, and Air. They are the absolute best in the business. And one of your awesome local independent dealers is Family Heating and Air. The Morris family and their staff ready to help you out this summer. You could call Rachel. You could call Marcus or Malia today to make sure that AC is ready for the summer weather. Family Heating and Air always encourages you to call them for a free second opinion. If you've got a quote from somebody else and you're thinking to yourself, I don't think this is right, or maybe they're trying to take me to the woodshed here, I don't like this, you could call Family Heating and Air. They will give you a free second opinion. Nobody cares for you like family. Plus, make sure you find out how you could get better indoor air quality as well. 317-577-8077. That's Family Heating and Air. 577-8077. Tell them Hammer and Nigel sent you. American Standard Heating and Air, built to a higher standard.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/FREE. ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Guys, if you've noticed a lack of energy, motivation, and drive, it could be low T. Schedule your complete health assessment at Low T Center. They now offer the convenience of monitored self-inject at-home testosterone treatments for $155 a month cash pay or covered by most health insurance.
If you don't live near a Low T Center or just need the convenience of at-home treatment, Low T Center makes it easy to get started on treatments. Only your first 2 visits are in person. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book online. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Get ready to save with Spectrum One. You get Spectrum Internet delivering fast and reliable speeds for $49.99 a month. Free advanced Wi-Fi for enhanced privacy and security. And a free Spectrum mobile line with unlimited talk, text, and data, plus nationwide 5G. Go to spectrum.com/save more and use the Spectrum One savings calculator to see how much you can save today. Offer subject to change. Valid for qualified residential customers only. Service not available in all areas. Restrictions apply.
Whether you're an experienced firearms owner or just thinking about getting a new firearm, Atkinson Firearms in Greenwood has everything you need. With brands like Glock, Smith & Wesson, Canik, Colt, Henry, SIG, and much more. If Atkinson Firearms doesn't have it, they can get it. Plus accessories, from holsters to ammo and everything between. Atkinson Firearms is firefighter owned and veteran staff with a new larger location. Follow Atkinson Firearms on Facebook. Atkinson Firearms, off County Line Road next to the Greenwood Airport.
Here's what's trending now. You can defer payments of a full NetSuite implementation for 6 months. 33,000 companies have already upgraded to NetSuite, gaining visibility and control over their financials, inventory, HR, e-commerce, and more. Everything they need to reduce manual processes, boost efficiency, build forecasts, and increase productivity. Whether your business generates millions or hundreds of millions of dollars, take advantage of the special financing offer of no payments or interest for 6 months at netsuite.com/today. That's netsuite.com/today.
Get 3 rooms of carpet clean for $139 and a free hallway and $50 off air duct cleaning with Zero Res. 388-5141. Online at ZeroResIndy.com.
The Hammer and Nigel Show.
So if you're watching the YouTube chat, you're probably wondering, why is Nigel so tan? Well, the thing is, Nige isn't here today. It's the Hammer and Nigel Show. I'm Jason Hammer. Nigel's out and on Twitter at Indy Spanglish. Jerry Lopez is in. So let me ask the $1 million question here for folks who may be hearing you for the first time. Who in the hell are you?
I like to say I'm your favorite politician's goon. And
really?
I will say it like this. So if you're running for office, you got to keep it clean, right? Nobody wants to deal with the dirt and stuff. A lot of the reasons why a lot of people got turned off by Donald Trump, right? But somebody needs to get that out there. And I don't mind being the person that does that. So pretty prevalent on Twitter. It's probably the only place I live.
What's your background?
So my parents are from Cuba. So I'm first generation American. My mom and dad came over on the Mario boat lift in the 80s. They were sponsored by a Catholic church out of the southwest side of Indianapolis. Then I was born at a hospital that no longer exists called Wishart.
Yeah,
in 81.
Okay.
So I grew up on West Washington Street, Hawthorne Park, Rhodius Park.
Oh, yeah.
That area. Morris Avenue, like Belmont. That was my old stomping ground.
So do you get a lot of crap from people playing the stereotypical politics game here because you're not a pasty white guy from the suburbs, but you have some conservative views? Do you get a lot of crap from people?
I love it. I love it. I think me being the person that I am makes liberals have to have an honest conversation. You can't look at me and call me a racist and try to just use that to deny all facts.
Right.
So I'm able to get through that, and I'm the kind of guy that, like, I put the pressure on them. As soon as I meet somebody that's a liberal, I shake their hand and I will look them in the face and go, "You don't even look racist." That's how I start the conversation. And they, of course, go, "What are you talking about?" And then I back it up immediately with CRT, like, "Oh, you guys think that my life's harder for me because I'm brown and I'm not white. I don't get to enjoy some of the things you do." And they go, "Well," and I go, "Does that make you racist? Like, you don't even know me.
Right.
Does that make you a racist?" Right. So I do that, and I'm able to have some conversations, but able to put some pressure points on people. And hopefully people just walk away and think a little bit. Because I know, being the only Latino I knew growing up, like, racism's it's never going away. It's always going to be here. But B, if you go out and talk to your neighbor, like, people are not at all what is being shown on TV.
What do you mean by that?
they always push the lowest common denominator, right? If it bleeds, it reads, right?
Right.
So they get the most uneducated, most country redneck, hillbilly, Confederate flag, Dale Earnhardt tattoo, Mountain Dew drinking guy, and he's going to be like, woo, Team Trump. And then they try to say, this is Trump's people.
Right. Now, I check a lot of those boxes.
So do I.
I check a lot of those boxes.
I was a Jeff Gordon fan, so no number 3 for me.
I'm a 44-ounce Diet Mountain Dew guy. I'm a Diet Mountain Dew guy, but I'm a Mountain Dew guy right there.
But even that guy I don't have a problem with. Like, quit trying to act like just because people are a different race or a different sex or a different nationality or ethnicity that we don't all want the same thing. And I think we all do, right? We all want safe schools, safe neighborhoods, go to church, take care of my family, have a job, and leave me alone.
Do you still follow a lot of things that happen in Cuba? And I bring this up because China and Cuba, they've been playing, grab ass here for the last year and a half. Mm-hmm. And now things are kind of getting hot and heavy. They're going to build this base on Cuba. A lot of people are freaking out. But at the same time, and you know this better than anybody, there's been shenanigans militarily happening in Cuba for a long time.
Sure. So my mom's one of 12. She is the only one that lives in the States. Everybody else lives in Cuba. So I was in the military. I'm not able to go back, I don't think, for at least a couple years because I had a security clearance at the time. But I have 2 deployments to Iraq, and I'm not going to sit here and say that I didn't wonder why the hell we're flying over a country that's close enough for somebody to, like, push off on plywood, right? And we're not just circling the country and liberating it right now. Like, to me, that's always been, like, the largest form of humanitarianism is you have nothing to offer us. But you are closer than Chicago, and we can't, in good faith, let this happen here, right? So I've always had an issue with that, and I think that if we really cared, we would.
Chatting with Jerry Lopez on Twitter at Indy Spanglish, filling in for Nige today. One of the things that I love about this radio station, and Rob and I talked about this earlier today, is the people that hate IBC or never listen and criticize anyway always say, well, you guys just carry the water for the Republican Party. You guys just spout out talking points from the Republican Party. Look, I am a conservative. I vote conservatively. But if you listen to this show, more than anybody else in this city, we bring the heat to some of these Republican dudes more than anybody, whether it's Governor Holcomb, the way Rob does with Rokita. That's the way we do things around here. So are you the type of dude who, even though your political leanings are one way, you could absolutely criticize the people that normally you would vote for?
100%. And to take it back, so I'm first generation American, literally one boat trip from communism. I am also a military vet, so I fought for the rights that we get to enjoy every day. Also, I realize that 60% of our population is scared to say anything right now for fear of being called a bigot, a transphobe, a racist, a this, or that. So the vast majority of our population is scared. They have opinions, but they might not be as brave as you or Rob Kendall to just go out here and say them, let alone on radio.
And even that, if I say something and you say something,
I'm good.
You're good.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah. So since I know that, I say everything.
That's awesome.
And I have no problem doing it, and I enjoy doing it in a way that will make you uncomfortable because you deserve to feel some discomfort because somebody's finally asking you the question.
Well, I'm happy that you're hanging out here today. We're going to have some moonshine later on, right? I'm going to bring a little Beech Grove. I'm going to bring a little Rocky Top, Tennessee. Allison's going to bring some moonshine from North Carolina, I believe, to the table. And we're going to have Moonshine Monday coming up. It's the Hammer and Nigel Show.
So I live in an older house made in the early 80s, still has its original garage floor. I'm sure when that house was built in 1981, it looked awesome. But now, modern day, my garage floor was cracked. It was crumbling up. It's dirty. It just wasn't in very good shape. And I spend a lot of time in my garage. I got a TV hanging out there in the summer. I like watching sports out in my garage. But it's an eyesore. That is until my new Galaxy concrete garage floor was installed, and it is out of this world. Galaxy concrete coatings. These guys are awesome. It only took them a day to make my old gross garage floor look like brand new, and it's not epoxy either. It's better than that and 4 times stronger. Check out their website to see pictures and get a quote. GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com or call their office 317-751-9070. That's 751-9070.
Hey, Ruthie, a bunch of us are heading out to Monroe Lake today. Any recos for a good drink out by the lake?
Sure. Total Wine & More is practically lakeside headquarters. My personal favorite is an easy-sipping tequila like this new Reposado.
Ooh, I bet that tequila pairs well with my new camping chair.
And you can relax even more knowing this price is the lowest in town.
Wow, that low price leaves other stores in your wake.
With the lowest prices for over 30 years, you'll always find what you love and love what you find. Only at your Total Wine & More in Indianapolis. Drink responsibly. Be 21.
Streaming only on Peacock.
What is your relationship with Robert Birchtold?
Well, he's practically a member of the family.
Based on the true story.
He gets these impulsive moods.
From the executive producer of The Act and Candy.
He will lie and manipulate to get the only thing he wants.
Where is Jan? Where is she?
Your husband kidnapped her.
Hello?
A friend of the family.
Everything I did was to get closer to you.
Streaming now only on Peacock.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level. On the go.
A deputy has died. 85 degrees in downtown Indianapolis. A few clouds, but mostly sunny. All clear with the radar. Lows down to the 60s tonight. I'm Harrison Silcox. Here's what's trending at 3:31.
I have the tragic responsibility of informing you about a death of one of our deputies today.
Marion County Sheriff Kerry Forrestal, that deputy, John Durham, was assaulted by an inmate who stole a jail wagon this morning. The inmate later crashed it on the southeast side of Indy.
Deputies with the Marion County Sheriff's Office were able to take the suspect into custody. Deputies who were taking the suspect into custody sustained minor injuries. They were treated on scene and are not being transported.
IMPD Lieutenant Shane Foley, the suspect, is also in the hospital being treated for injuries. The entire incident is being investigated as a homicide. Durham had worked in law enforcement for nearly 40 years. Ukraine does not belong in NATO, at least not yet, says Indiana Congressman Larry Bouchon.
And everybody, I think, around the world knows that in the Ukraine there has been a level of corruption over the years. They are solving that problem. I think the current president of the country has made headway.
Bouchon talking to Wish TV, saying it would also be a bad move to admit Ukraine now because then the entire NATO alliance would be drawn into a direct war with Russia, a war that's now been going on for over 500 days. State Department spokesman Matthew Miller said Ukrainians have endured relentless attacks from Russian forces over the last year and a half. Miller also accused Russia of committing crimes against humanity in a press briefing today. Dozens of groups are urging the U.S. Senate to look into ethics questions involving sitting Supreme Court justices. Fox's Gernal Scott reports.
United for Democracy describes itself on its website as a group formed to shine a light on the decisions of this Supreme Court. The coalition of left-leaning groups sent a letter to congressional leaders and the Senate Judiciary Committee urging them to look into what the groups call egregious impropriety by justices. Allegations were not specifically detailed. The groups also call many decisions made this term extremist. The coalition asks for oversight hearings and legislation from those hearings to protect the court from outside influence. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
You're 1 minute away from traffic and weather. It's 3:33.
Have you saved enough? Do you have a plan for Social Security and taxes in retirement? Hey, Casey Weed of Howard Bailey Financial, where our mission is to help you gain clarity and purpose and elevate meaning in your life through personal and practical financial strategies. That's why we want to give you our Retire with Purpose Toolkit at no cost. In it, you'll find valuable information on minimizing taxes, maximizing Social Security, and building a retirement income you can't outlive. Plus, you'll receive a copy of my book, Job Optional. To get your complimentary toolkit, call or text the keyword INFO 42 to 866-482-9559. That's INFO 42 to 866-482-9559.
Howard Bailey Financial is the official wealth management partner of Notre Dame Athletics. Notre Dame Athletics was compensated for this endorsement and is not a current client of Howard Bailey. For more information, please visit howardbailey.com/ND disclosure. Investment advisory services may be offered through Howard Bailey Securities LLC, a registered investment advisor. Working with Howard Bailey Securities LLC cannot guarantee investment success or that specific financial goals will be achieved.
With traffic at 3:34, here's Matt Baer.
Yeah, Harrison, looking at westbound 465. That is now backed up from I-65 to Southeastern. all the way through Beech Grove to the southeast side, almost to I-74. Please stay out of it. You'll want to. Northbound 65, also slow right now from Raymond Street up to the south split. Jamaica West, you're slow out to Harding Street. All of this because of the closure of the westbound lanes on the south side from 65 to 70. We'll do another month on that. Traffic sponsored by Indy Decorative Concrete. Imagine the possibilities of getting the backyard of your dreams. Expand your living space with an Indy Decorative Concrete patio. Indy Decorative Concrete, the patio experts, big enough to service, small enough to care. I'm Matt Bear. Follow us on Twitter for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
And the forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
For today, mostly sunny, comfortable humidity, high temperature of 85 degrees. Tonight, mostly clear, low temperature of 63 degrees. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Ryan Morse for 93 WIBC.
And I'm Harrison Silcox. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
The only way to bag a classy lady is to give her 2 tickets to the gun show.
It's Monday Gun Day with the gun guy.
Just watch out for the guns. They'll get you.
Guy Relford.
Stop calling your arms guns.
The Hammer and Nigel show.
It is Monday Gun Day here on the Hammer and Nigel show. I'm Jason Hammer. Jerry Lopez is in for Big Nige, and joining us in studio, 2A attorney, firearms instructor Guy Relford. Guy, how are you?
Man, I'm great, and thanks as always to our sponsor, that is Premier Arms in Brownsburg, with the largest selection of new, used, and historic firearms in all of Indy and the area, and PA Jewelers located right in the store. Check them out at 3754 South Green Street or premierarms.com.
So do you think tonight we will see an appearance from one Diamond Joe Hawksett at the City County Council meeting where his wish list of gun control is going to be voted on, most likely passed through because of all the seals that are the Democrats clapping and going along with it? What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this whole proposal is based on his opportunity to show up. You know, he showed up at the hearing that I was at the Public Safety Committee, and made his speech and got a standing ovation and had his mic drop moment and you know, got to walk out and be a tough guy. He wants to do exactly the same thing, because this is all about showboating. And grandstanding for the voters has nothing to do with policy. It has nothing to do with making anybody safer, because as we've been talking about since it was introduced, it can't have any legal effect unless Indiana law changes, which I don't expect to happen in my lifetime. So it's all about grandstanding. It's all about posturing, and he's not going to pass up an opportunity to do that.
We talk about this a lot. Do people buy this? Like, is there somebody that's listening that might not understand a lot about Indianapolis politics? Maybe they're scanning their radio and they're hearing this show for the very first time. Do people actually believe Joe Hawksett could pass this crap through?
Oh, well, I'll tell you right now, the answer to that question, again, was being at that hearing. Because it was packed. It was a full room. I've never seen that hearing room, and I've been there several times. I've never seen it so full of people. And it was 95%, 98% people backing Hawksett's proposal. He had the Moms Demand Action ladies with their red T-shirts and their sign, Stop Gun Violence, you know, and when Hawksett walked in and gave his speech, I mean, it was loud. I mean, people cheered. People applauded. When I stood up and said, well, just so everybody understands, Indiana law prevents this going into effect. In fact, it's written explicitly where it can't go into effect until the Indiana Firearms Preemption Act, which prohibits local regulation of firearms, is repealed or somehow rescinded by the courts, which I don't see happening either. So none of this has any effect. And by the way, let's say it did. What we're talking about here is you're proposing a fine, because the city of Indianapolis can't put you in jail. All they can do is pass an ordinance, and if you violate an ordinance, all they can do is fine you. So what they're proposing is to stop gun violence in Marion County, in Indianapolis. What they're proposing is that somebody who's on his way to murder his rival drug dealer, I'm going to go, this guy's on my territory, and I'm sorry, that a lot of our crime comes from exactly this scenario.
Mugshot on mugshot violence.
This dude's dealing on my corner, that's it. I'm driving by, I'm shooting him, I'm on my way. I'm not afraid of the death penalty, right? I'm not afraid of 60 years in prison if I don't get death penalty. I'm not afraid of any of that. I'm not afraid of dying in a shootout with police or dying when my intended victim pulls his own gun. None of that scares me, because I'm a badass criminal. And I'm on my way, and suddenly I go, oh, Hold on. Joe Hogsett could find me. I could get a bill in the mail saying, you terrible person, you concealed carry a firearm, or you, bought a gun when you weren't 21, a long gun. I mean, is anybody buy this crap? But the answer to that question is, oh, yeah, that's the standing ovation he got in that hearing room. And I'm looking around because those words are exactly what I said in that hearing room. And it was stone cold quiet. And when Hogsett came in, they still went crazy cheering for him. Logic, facts mean nothing to these people.
It's amazing because that's not the only example, right? With Joe Biden's student loan forgiveness. They knew he could. They knew it meant nothing. Nancy Pelosi said the same thing. The president doesn't have this power. All they needed was somebody else to say no to him, which is what's going to happen when the state says no to Hogsett. And now Hogsett acts like he's the good guy. But in all reality, he knew it was dead from the jump. I just need you to turn me down so I can show up in November and say, I tried.
And he can get the headlines because every TV station in the city tonight will say, Hogsett's gun plan passes.
Yep. That's right.
They're going to think this is some sort of win. But, oh, by the way, in the probably third or fourth paragraph, and there's no way in blue hell this is actually going to happen.
Well, that's right. But Jerry's point is such a good one, and I'm really glad you brought that up because what he gets to now say, and this is exactly as you're saying, and I'm agreeing, he gets to say, oh, the city of Indianapolis would do all these great things but for the evil Republican-led General Assembly who has this law that prevents us from passing this law. Just exactly. That's why your metaphor is such a good one. Just exactly like the Joe Biden can say, oh, I was going to help all you people out with your horrible, burdensome debt, but the evil Supreme Court, appointed, by all these Republican presidents has held me back to not allow me to do the right thing and blame it on someone else, even though going in, he never had a chance to accomplish what he said he was trying to accomplish. That's why it's so disingenuous, but it works.
Substitute Supreme Court for Republican-led Indiana State House.
Yeah.
It's the exact same argument.
It's a great comparison.
Guy Relford with us, Monday Gun Day here on the Hammer and Nigel show. A couple different stories I want to get your opinion on here. So this Colorado-based company, they claim they've got the first commercially available smart gun for sale.
Yeah.
And the way this works, if I'm reading this right, you must use fingerprint or scan your face for this thing to work.
Facial recognition, apparently, as I understand it, Jason, it's got some kind of a dock that the gun locks into, and to be able to remove the gun from that lock, you got to put your fingerprints into it, or it's got to recognize your face with facial recognition technology, like in the iPhones, I guess, that have now. And they're saying we're going to save lives because nobody will be able to get your gun out of this thing and be able to use it unless it's already pre-programmed to say that you're an authorized user of that gun. And that all sounds great, right up until you remember. And by the way, in the same press release I saw, in the news story I saw that you sent me, actually, it said, this technology didn't exist a year or two ago, and now we're launching it, and it's going to be awesome. I'm remembering the first phones I had that took a fingerprint. And, you scan your fingerprint, but, nothing worked. You scanned it and nothing happens, and you scan it again. Oh, no, I got a little sweat, or, all right, I got some mustard from my hot dog on my fingerprint, and now it won't work, and even people with iPhones, I don't have an iPhone, but I see people, holding it up to their face and taking it away and holding it up to their face, and eventually it works. Some guy's just broken into your home, and he's got a double-barrel shotgun pointed at your head. And you're going, yeah, boy, I hope my fingerprint works this time.
Hold on for a second. Let me scan in.
And so, none of that makes any sense to me in the sense that...
Now, there are some safes that do that, right? Like safes where the guns are in? Is this kind of the same thing?
It's the same idea. Yeah, in fact, and to be honest, and that technology has come a long way. In fact, I have a fingerprint-based safe that works fairly well. But what I don't want to see, even if I trusted the technology, which I'm still dubious about, because I'm sorry, if it works 99% of the time, the Murphy factor is going to kick in, and it's going to be that one time you need it, it's not going to work. That's why I don't necessarily trust it. But where this is going, and where you're already seeing groups like the Bloomberg groups and Moms Demand Action and the Gifford Center and the Brady campaign, they're all looking at this, what we really need now is a law to make this technology mandatory, where you can't own a gun unless it's a smart gun technology equipped firearm, because that's where this is going. That's what a lot of us are concerned about. And there have already been laws passed. I believe it was, don't quote me on this, I want to say New Jersey passed a law that said as soon as smart gun technology is available, it has to be sold in gun stores mandatorily. They go in and fine gun stores if they don't offer the technology. So New Jersey's already trying to mandate it as far as being available for sale. Now I worry about the next step, which is mandating the possession of them, and I don't trust that for a moment.
So I guess I have a two-part question. Number one, you said it has to have anybody's information. You have to put it in yourself.
Yes.
Right? So it'd be you, your spouse, and any adult children you may have that live at the house, correct? Because worst case scenario, it's just you and you're having an issue and nobody else in the house can get to the gun because it's only your facial and your fingerprint, right?
Yeah, and we have instances all over the country where the 12-year-old grabbed the shotgun, as a home invader.
Defends the family.
Dad's not home. Mom's asleep upstairs. So, yeah, you worry about those issues, too.
And then I guess the second part of it is, how long do you think our government lets you roll with fingerprints and facial recognition for your gun safe before there's a database that's used for people that have this? In the spirit of security, we would like to just know.
Right, in the spirit of security being the key phrase there.
Can we also turn off your stuff when we feel like you shouldn't have it?
And you know what? Those things are already happening. I mean, in the sense of, and Jason knows I'm not a big conspiracy theory guy, but in terms of building databases and facial recognition databases, that's already been established. Those things are going on. So you really want to provide that much more information that's then potentially accessible, because who knows what happens to this once it goes into the system. Right. And I don't know if it's internet connected or any of that. I don't think so. I think it's probably more like a safe and that kind of thing. But it's stored. It's in there. Suddenly that gets made available. Yeah, I can see that definitely being a concern down the road as well.
Guy Relford with us. Can you come back for one more break?
Always.
All right, because I want to get your thoughts on some of the things happening with the Supreme Court right now. A lot of stuff going on. Monday Gun Day, Guy Relford with us. It's the Hammer and Nigel Show.
Real people are getting real and lasting pain relief at QC Kinetics.
Who would have thought that I would be in better shape now than after I got out of the Marines at 22? It's great to be active again.
I've played 36 holes multiple days in a row without pain. Everything's great.
Are you tired of living with chronic joint pain? QC Kinetics uses cutting-edge regenerative medicine to restore and repair damaged tissue, natural healing agents from your own body, so your body can heal itself the way it was designed, with no pain pills, no steroids, no drugs, and no downtime.
It was super successful, and I recommend everyone seek out QC Kinetics as an alternative to surgery.
Thanks to QC Kinetics, quality of life is just a lot better.
Definitely changed my life.
Call now to see if regenerative medicine could be the answer you've been looking for. The local medical professionals at QC Kinetics have proven protocols that can give you lasting relief now, and the consultation is free.
Call QC Kinetics, 463-235-7160. That's 463-235-7160. In Eagle Creek and Greenwood, 463-235-7160.
Hammer and Nigel here for our good friends at Window Nation. From the windows to the walls, to the amazing way my house feels thanks to my new windows from Window Nation. Not only do they look great, but they keep all the hot air out and your AC stays in. Plus, in addition to looking good, your energy bills will go low, low, low. So when the hot part of the summer starts to kick in, make sure you've got the best in the business. And right now, with Window Nation, this deal is a game changer. We call it the 0-0-0 deal. 0 money down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for 2 full years. And that's on top of the existing deal where you buy 2 windows and you get 2 windows for free. Any style of window, and there's no limit. So the more you buy, the more free ones you get. Think about all the money you can save, but you got to make that phone call right now. 866-90-NATION. That's 866-90-NATION, or go to windownation.com. Tell them Hammer and Nigel sent you.
That kitchen or bath remodel you've been ready to start? With inflation rising, waiting is just going to make it more expensive. Start that remodel today. Hey, it's Tony Katz for Booher Remodeling. B-O-O-H-E-R. BooherRemodeling.com. Get on the schedule now to avoid some of those price increases. Booher Remodeling is the finest remodeler in Central Indiana with the best materials and most skilled craftsmen. They'll guide you through the entire process to make your vision come to life. Go to BooherRemodeling.com to set up your free consultation. BooherRemodeling.com.
What is 988? It's a way forward. It's a listening ear. It's whatever help you need, when you need it. The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. offers trained crisis specialists ready to talk to you 24/7. If you or someone you love is experiencing a mental health or substance use crisis in their life, call or text 988. Want more information? Visit 988indiana.org.
That's Faber's Bean Window. Trust me.
In the last 40 years, over 80,000, that's right, 80,000 Indiana families have trusted their home to B Window. Help us celebrate our 40th year anniversary and receive 40% off all products, plus special manufacturer rebates and up to 20 months, no interest, no payments. Just go to bwindow.com. We'll take care of the rest.
That's Faber's Bean Window. Trust me.
Now through month end, get summer road trip ready at Hubler, where every new car includes their 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Visit drivehubler.com.
Hey, we're pretty social people at WIBC. You can find us all over social media. See what we're up to on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and on YouTube. We're never more than just away. Just search for 93 WIBC.
All right, coming up a little bit after 4 o'clock, Rick Snyder, the president of the Fraternal Order of Police, will join us. Just got some really bad news in regards to that situation with the Marion County Sheriff's attack earlier today. An officer has lost his life.
Yeah.
So we will talk about that coming up in just a few minutes. That's coming up after 4 o'clock. FOP President Rick Snyder will join us. Matt Baer, what's going on?
Yeah, Hammer, looking at westbound 465, that is stop-and-go traffic right now from I-74 past Emerson Avenue. You cannot go any further than that because of the closure from 65 over 270. That's going on for the rest of the month. Traffic is rerouting. It is getting bad. Stop and go. Northbound 65 after Keystone up to the south split. You turn west, and you're going to be slow out to Belmont. Traffic sponsored by Indy Decorative Concrete. Imagine the possibilities of getting the backyard of your dreams. Expand your living space with an Indy Decorative Concrete patio. Indy Decorative Concrete, the patio experts. Big enough to service, small enough to care. I'm Matt Baer. Follow us on Twitter for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
Yeah, just horrible news coming from the Marion County Sheriff's Office. Earlier today, an inmate took control of a Marion County Sheriff Office van. A deputy was killed. 38-year veteran John Durham lost his life today, and we'll talk about that coming up in just a little bit. Right now, 84 at the American Standard Cooling Weather Center. Guy Relford joining us in studio. Guy, there's a lot of stuff on the docket at the Supreme Court, and a lot of it is about firearms. One of the things that Jerry and I were talking about earlier before the show was this one situation about domestic violence.
Right.
What are we looking at here?
Well, this is a case that came out of Texas. The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals actually oversees Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. And what this case said is that a person simply under a domestic violence order of protection. So this is not someone who's been convicted of a crime necessarily. It's just someone where they're subject to a court order that's been obtained to say, hey, you can't harass someone, stalk them, etc. And these are an important tool, and I acknowledge the value of them. At the same time, you're talking about somebody losing a constitutional right that hasn't been convicted of any crime. And I have this case come up all the time. I have people call me and say, yeah, I just found out I can't buy a gun. I can't even own a gun. And I'll go, well, what happened? And they'll say, well, I have an ex and we had kind of a bitter divorce or a bitter breakup. And so this
is how some places do red flag laws. Some states, right?
Yeah, well, that's right. Red flag law is the same thing. You can be deprived of your guns and your Second Amendment rights without having been convicted of a crime. But somebody will say, yeah, I go, I got a notice in the mail that said she wanted me to stay away from her, or he wanted me to stay away from him, and I didn't care. I didn't want to see him anymore, so I didn't even show up at the hearing. And they entered the order. Now suddenly I find out I'm legally prohibited from possessing a gun. And so that's the issue. It's if you're simply subject to a domestic violence order of protection, because federal law and actually Indiana law says the same thing. You can't own a gun if you're subject to one of these things. And this is not to minimize the problem with domestic violence. I mean, my mother has been the victim of domestic violence, not from my father, thank God, but otherwise. And so I'm very empathetic. But that's the issue. It's not a great case fact-wise, because the actual petitioner here is not a good guy. He's had multiple shooting incidents. He's had other legal problems. He's clearly not the poster child you would want to take up on a Supreme Court case. But with the precedent that we have in this new Bruin versus New York State Rifle and Pistol Association case that came down last fall, there's a whole new standard for deciding these cases. And they have to show there's a historical precedent going all the way back to the founding, or even based on law that led to the founding of this country and the writing of the Constitution. And since then, that there's been historical support for this kind of law. And they're not going to have that. That's why the petitioner won in the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. That's why I fully expect him to win in the Supreme Court, because under the new standard announced just last fall by Bruin, by the Supreme Court in the Bruin case, I don't expect him to win this case. The only thing that makes me nervous is the party in this case that's representing that issue is not a guy you'd necessarily want to bring home and introduce to mom.
Right. Got it. If anybody wants to continue this conversation, or if they've got questions for you, how can they find you?
Yeah, on Twitter is a great way. I'm trying to build my Twitter following a little bit, so at Guy Relford on Twitter.
Guy, you're the best. Thanks, you.
Guys.
It's the Hammer and Nigel Show.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting Gallon 25. Rules for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out.
Susan, I'm sorry I'm late. Traffic is terrible.
It sure is. And I can't believe how expensive gas has gotten recently.
Prices at the pump are up, but I never pay full price for gas. I use the free Upside app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. You actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
I get real cash back every time I buy gas.
Does that add up to anything?
I've made around $200.
Wow. That's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Earn cash back every time you buy gas. Text Gallon 25 to 200-300 for an exclusive link to download the free Upside app and get an extra 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. Cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just text Gallon 25 to 200-300 to download the free Upside app and get an extra 25 cents per gallon bonus. Text the word Gallon 25 to 200-300. Text Gallon 25 to 200-300.
Wealth-changing question. Is your investment portfolio really customized? Some advisors say they customize them, but all they really do is ask you a few questions, then put all your money in a model portfolio. Here at Creative Planning, each of our private wealth management clients' portfolios is unique. Your investment mix will be based on your custom financial plan. If that's not how your money's managed, you're not getting the customization you deserve. Book your free meeting today at creativeplanning.com. Creative Planning, a richer way to wealth.
Nobody cares for you like family. Family Heating and Air.
We set out to be the very best of the best, and past couple years we've actually achieved that. For all of the state of Indiana, we've been awarded the Dealer of the Year award twice now. Unlike other brands, that only gets handed to one dealer every year, and we're very proud to have won that twice.
Put the best to work for you at FamilyHVAC.net. Family Heating and Air is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Hey, it's Hammer and Nigel, and there are numbers every man needs to know, including our testosterone number. We recommend the Low T Center. They make it quick and easy to get all your levels checked, and it's only $25. You walk in, take a simple blood test, and with their on-site lab, you'll know the result in about 25 minutes.
Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause a lack of motivation and drive. It can raise your cholesterol, cause weight gain, and a loss of muscle mass. LowTCenter.com. Book that appointment today. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit NoTimeToWait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Tony Katz here for Premier Arms in Brownsburg, your premier gun store. Over 1,200 firearms in stock and the largest selection of used firearms in the area. Premier Arms is home of the Buy Room. This exclusive, private, and secure room is where Premier Arms will buy your estate or special collection of firearms and jewelry. Premier Arms and PA Jewelers, their one-of-a-kind jewelry store located in the same building, are the largest buyers of firearms, firearm collections, and estate jewelry in the Midwest. Talk to Premier Arms today. 3754 South Green Street. Online at premierarms.com.
Garage door problems? Call today for service today. Garage Doors of Indianapolis has been solving garage door problems for 33 years. Call today for service today. 875-4577. Garage Doors of Indianapolis services all makes of garage doors 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Call today for service today. Get it fixed right now. Call Garage Doors of Indianapolis at 875-4577 or visit doorstoday.com.
In the morning, call 875-4577. Service today.
Coming up in 2 minutes, a Marion County Sheriff's deputy has died. An 18-year-old was shot and killed in Noblesville last Friday, and how a fallen officer is being remembered today. All that and more coming up after Fox News Radio. From the Peterman Brothers Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical Studios, you have temperatures in the 80s downtown. You're listening to 93 WIBC. WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. Your time is 4 o'clock.
A royal meeting. I'm Rich Dennison, Fox News. President Biden, on the first leg of his three-nation trip, spoke to King Charles III at Windsor Castle after talks with British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak.
This conversation largely focused around the King's main concern, which is climate change.
Fox's Alex Hogan in London. The president is now in Lithuania for the NATO summit. On Tuesday, he'll have talks with Nordic leaders in Finland. NATO says Turkey's president today said he would send Sweden's NATO application to his country's parliament as he appears to be ready to unblock his objection to Sweden's admission.
Erdogan had been blocking Sweden, saying that that country is not doing enough to crack down on Kurdish groups that it considers to be terrorists. But now Erdogan is saying that Turkey could allow Sweden into NATO if Turkey is allowed into the EU. Turkey's EU membership has been stalled for decades over human rights and judicial independence concerns. And an EU spokesperson just said the accession process has clear steps that cannot be linked to the separate NATO track.
Fox's Jackie Heinrich traveling with the president. Part of the nation's northeast is bracing for more catastrophic flooding.
Flood and flash flood warnings extend from northeast New Jersey to parts of Maine, with a state of emergency declared in multiple counties in New York from heavy rain that washed out roads and flooded homes. In the Hudson Valley, we're told a woman in Orange County was killed when she was swept away Sunday trying to escape the floodwaters.
Fox's Jeff Manasso. Stock indexes ending the day in positive territory after afternoon trading sent them higher. That's ahead of new inflation data that's coming out later this week. The Dow up 211 points, the S&P finishing the day up 10, with the Nasdaq closing at 24 points higher. America is listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
A deputy gone too soon. Mostly sunny at 85 downtown, but no rain on the radar. Low of about 63 expected tonight. I'm Harrison Silcox. Here's what's trending at 4:02. A Marion County Sheriff's deputy was killed by an inmate this morning.
Around 11:30 a.m. this morning, Deputy Durham was returning from Eskenazi Hospital with a prisoner who needed medical attention when he was attacked outside of the CJC.
IMPD Deputy Chief Chris Bailey. That inmate stole the van being driven by Deputy John Durham and crashed it on Prospect Street, not far from the Community Justice Center. The inmate was brought into custody and hurt two other deputies in the process. IMPD says the whole incident is being investigated as a homicide. Durham had been working in law enforcement for 38 years. An 18-year-old was shot and killed while sitting in a car parked in a driveway. The Hamilton County Sheriff's Office says it happened July 2nd at a home off Overdorf Road in a Noblesville neighborhood. Christopher Stumpf had been shot in the back. Police are still investigating. No arrests have been reported. Ukraine does not belong in NATO, at least not yet, says Indiana Congressman Larry Bouchon.
And everybody, I think, around the world knows that in the Ukraine there has been a level of corruption over the years. They are solving that problem. I think the current president of the country has made headway.
Bouchon telling Wish TV it would also be a bad move to admit Ukraine now because then the entire NATO alliance would be drawn into a direct war with Russia. Sergeant Heather Glenn will be laid to rest in Tell City. Kurt Darling reports.
The funeral for Sergeant Heather Glenn in Tell City.
I know many of you know Heather primarily as a police officer, and she was. But she was also
so many things to so many people.
Glenn was shot and killed early last week. The pastor leading the ceremony recalling Glenn's love of animals.
There were some dogs somehow that got into the school today. I don't know if some of you saw that. And one of our friends said they believe that's how they're calling them in.
Glenn will be buried at Greenwood Cemetery in Tell City. Kirk Darling, Network Indiana.
You're listening to 93 WIBC. You're 1 minute away from traffic and weather. It's 4:04.
Hi, this is Denny Smith, and July is National Carpet Cleaning Month, and for good reason. Did you know that your carpets are the largest air filter in your home and can hold 4 times their weight in dirt? Yuck! Vacuuming can help, but it just doesn't get to the majority of the dirt in those carpets. Zero Res can, and it does it with no soap, no residue, no harsh chemicals, using their patented ZR water. They really get the dirt and stains as well as the allergens and irritants out for a lasting summer clean. And the techs are the best in the industry, trained in extraction techniques that just work to get your things really, really clean. With Zero Res, things just stay cleaner longer with a softer and fluffier feeling that you'll absolutely notice. Now mention WIBC and get 3 rooms of carpet clean for $139, plus you'll get a free hallway and $50 off air duct cleaning too. That's right, air duct cleaning, and it'll help improve the air quality in your home and help to reduce your energy costs and just breathe easier. Call 388-5141 or schedule your appointment online at ZeroResIndy.com.
With traffic on the 5s at 4:05, here's Matt Baer.
All right, watch out downtown on the south end right now. There are lots of traffic and a large amount of police officers moving through the south end of downtown. We do have Maryland Street closed at west right now. Yeah, just lots of traffic in the area. Please be safe. Looking to westbound 465 on the southeast side. Stop and go traffic 74 over to 65 because of the closure. Also northbound 65 stop and go because of the closure from Keystone Avenue up to the south. Split delay continues into westbound lanes out to Belmont. Traffic sponsored by Bob Evans Restaurants. Where can you make the whole family happy for less? At Bob Evans. Find over 30 breakfast, lunch, and dinner favorites for $8.99 or less. I'm Matt Baer. Follow us on Twitter for Insta traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
And the forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
A mostly clear Monday night as ahead as lows fall into the low to mid 60s. Tuesday, prepare for a hot day with lots of sunshine. Highs are going to be in the upper 80s, some locations in the 90s. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Stephen Deanna for 93 WIBC.
And I'm Harrison Silcox. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Hammer and Nigel.
Can you believe these characters are weirdos? So let's rock it!
It is the Hammer and Nigel show. I'm Jason Hammer. Big Nige is out on Twitter at Indy Spanglish. Jerry Lopez is filling in. And man, this is not the story we wanted to bring you today. Marion County Sheriff's Deputy John Durham, a 38-year veteran of the department, killed earlier today when an inmate attacked him in an escape attempt at the Marion County Sheriff's Office. Took control of the van, escaped out, ultimately crashed, was apprehended. Another member of law enforcement was injured, but John Durham, a 38-year veteran of the department, lost his life in this. Let's go to the drivehubler.com hotline and bring on Rick Snyder. He is the president of the Fraternal Order of Police. And Rick, I don't even know what to say. This is the third law enforcement official in the state of Indiana that has lost their life in a week. You were coming from the funeral of another officer in Tell City back to Indy, and you get this news. Take me through your thoughts.
Yeah, guys, I appreciate the opportunity just to speak with you guys. We were actually concluding the memorial service for Sergeant Heather Glenn down there in Tell City, and we were actually still in the funeral when we started receiving notifications of what was going on back here at home. So at the conclusion of that, I and some of our team literally walked right out of that funeral to get into our cars to head back here and stand alongside our sisters and brothers at the Marion County Sheriff's Office. So, this is 3 back-to-back tragic line-of-duty deaths of Indiana law enforcement officers here in the central Indiana and southern Indiana regions, and all within a week, really. And so when you look at that, the toll this takes on our law enforcement partners throughout the state is extensive. And it's not just our officers, but their families. Remember, guys, they've got families, spouses, and children who are all watching this. and seeing this happen. And here's what it's a reminder of. We are averaging right now in America, I just confirmed these numbers, but we're averaging an officer dying in line of duty once every 50 hours so far this year.
And Rick, these three situations that we're talking about here in Indiana, all three very different. Everything from line of duty, someone putting out stop sticks near Plainfield. We're talking about a shootout in a hospital. And today at the adult detention center complex, the inmate attacking Deputy Durham. All three of these things very different. And if anything, it just goes to show whenever somebody decides to wear that badge, go into law enforcement, you never know what that day could bring.
Well, and that's what we often say, right, is that the tragedies that we're confronted with here not only reminds us of what our officers do on a day in and day out basis, but what they may have to do. And you got to remember you have women and men who step forward to stand this line out on the street in patrol, but just like today, you have a detention deputy who then is part of the ongoing process after the arrests have been made. And so the dangers are always there. I think what it's important for our communities to remember is that there is real evil and wickedness in this world. And it's those who stand upon the thin blue line that work to keep that separate from the good folks in the neighborhoods that we serve. And we just ask that our communities, once again, continue to pray for these families that just had their absolute world shattered in the blink of an eye.
Hey, this is Jerry, and I just wanted to step in real quick and just let you know that our hearts and prayers with you and your police brothers and sisters. As somebody who was a military member who has multiple deployments overseas, it kind of feels the same as that what we used to go through. And so when you mention the family members and the kids and extended family members, grandmas and grandpas and uncles that live in other states, and they're hearing this stuff, I'm sure they're filled with anxiety and everything else. So I just wanted to let you know that it's horrible to hear, but please don't think for 1 second that we don't support you and your fraternal family, and just praying for everybody to not only get through this, but to just have a certain amount of peace going forward. So it sucks to hear this, but yeah, I'm very, very, very sorry to hear this.
Well, and our officers, I just had so many officers and folks in the community commenting on this awesome display that we always see when we have one of these line of duty funerals, and all the residents who come out and line the streets and the signs and the kids and all those other things. And it's breathtaking. Line of duty funerals are one of the most beautiful and most tragic things all at the same time that you'll ever see. And one thing I keep saying is to our officers, you have to remember that all those folks you see lining those streets are supporting you day in and day out. And oftentimes it's that great silent majority that we don't hear enough from. And one of the things that our officers always say is we wish we could see and hear this outside of a death, outside of a funeral. And I think in central Indiana, and what we know from Hoosiers is that they support their law enforcement and they come out strong. So, but this is the time for our folks to stand up and say that violence and wickedness is not acceptable in our communities. And Hammer, as you were pointing out, it doesn't matter what weapon is used or car is used or whatever the case may be. It's the human heart that's behind all of that. And there are truly evil people in our world, and they need to be separated from our community and from folks who want to live in peace. And it's our officers and our deputies and our troopers who stand that line for all of us.
Rick Snyder is our guest, president of the Fraternal Order of Police. Rick, I think most of our audience knows where I stand on this, but do you think if the death penalty were used more in Indiana, specifically on those who take the lives of our law officers? There's a couple folks that are on Indiana death row. I know one for a fact that is completely out of appeals that has killed an officer. Do you think if that happened more often, some of these executions were to take place, would that maybe send a message to people that if you kill an officer in Indiana, you will meet your maker?
Well, I think there's really a requirement as a society that those types of violent attacks have the most severe penalties associated with them. And we do have that available in Indiana. But what I would suggest is that what's even more important is that it's twofold. One, yes, there needs to be the highest level of accountability, including the death penalty available for instances such as the taking of a life of a law enforcement officer. And it's one of the aggravated factors that make it eligible for the death penalty. However, what we would suggest in law enforcement is we should be taking lower level violent offenses more seriously and making sure there's strong accountability for those offenses where we can interrupt these cycles of violence and prevent the line of duty death of the officer from occurring to begin with. That is the key factor that is involved. And, I know that the good folks throughout Indiana, they know that's what we need to be doing. And tragedies can always occur. That's why our officers, every time they leave home, they know what they're putting to risk, and so do their families. And that's why we got to fight so strong. Guys, that's why I remain so passionate when I stand in defense of our officers and those who, cause their jobs to be even harder because of political decisions or policy decisions that are made. And there'll be plenty of time to talk about that. But now we got to circle our arms around this family, a strong law enforcement family, by the way. And there will be significant ripple effects throughout the local law enforcement community from this because of the family ties. And as the sheriff said today, even family members all the way across in other countries serving in our military, finding out that their father has passed. It's just a tragic circumstance all the way around.
Rick, last thing here before we let you go, and this kind of piggybacks off of something Jerry brought up earlier, the amount of people showing their support for law enforcement, wishing the family nothing but the best, praying for these families. I think this even goes to the victims' families. There was a moment in the funeral for Indiana State Police Trooper Aaron Smith where I think it was Superintendent Doug Carter that was speaking on how the family members were going in the hospital to see the body of their fallen loved one. And as they prayed, not only were they praying for strength for their own family, but they were also praying for the strength for the fellow members of law enforcement. And I thought that was an incredibly powerful thing.
Well, it's an absolute fact that is what happened. And it's a reminder of the power of prayer. And I would say as we move forward here, 3 back-to-back line of duty deaths, people say, what can we do? I would call upon the residents of Indiana to show their support for our law enforcement officers. It's time to put those blue lights back on our front porches, turn those on at night, and show people that you support law enforcement. And that would be a great gesture for communities throughout Indiana just to display those blue lights, and all of our corporate businesses that have the ability, turn your lights to blue and show these officers that you're standing with them while they're in the middle of this valley. And there is great power in prayer. We don't take it lightly. Gentlemen, I don't take it lightly. When we ask folks to pray for our officers, we mean that. And I know this for a fact. Where 2 or 3 are gathered, the Lord is present. He is there, and he will respond, and we invite him into our communities to help fight back against this wickedness and stand for good and righteousness. We're called to love God and love our neighbor, and this is the time where we can show that out throughout Indiana.
Rick Snyder, President, Fraternal Order of Police, Lodge 86. Rick, as always, we appreciate your time, and I'm dead serious when I say this here. Thank you for doing what you do. You are doing God's work, my friend. I know it's not easy, but there's nobody I would rather see in the position than you. It's not easy, but keep doing your job, man. I appreciate everything you're doing.
Well, I thank you. It's a big team effort, and we're grateful to everybody in the FOP who helps make these services possible. It's a great, great team and a great honor.
Matt Baer standing by with a look at the roads.
All right, fellas, looking to westbound 465 on the south side. Stop and go traffic from southeastern over to I-65 starts to get a little distance. The closer to 65 you get starts to widen just a little bit. But then traffic northbound 65 stop and go Keystone Avenue onto the south split right now. All this rerouting around the south side closure, and it's not fun right now. Westbound 70 is also stop and go out of the south split until Belmont. Traffic sponsored by Grand Appliance. Need appliances. Fast shop Grand Appliance for hundreds of in-stock options, unbeatable prices, and extra rebate savings on top brands like Samsung. Learn more at grandappliance.com. I'm Matt Bear. Follow us on Twitter for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
Right now, partly cloudy skies, 84 degrees at the American Standard Cooling Weather Center. We will have more on this story all throughout the afternoon. Gonna try to have a little fun this afternoon. We've got my man Jerry filling in for Big Nige today, and he is going to play Is This Anything next.
Oh, man, AAA saved me the other day. Got into my car to go to work, dead. Wouldn't start, needed a new battery. AAA was in my driveway within 30 minutes, yanked the old one out, put the new one in, and I was on my way. Hey, big news from my friends at AAA. Another way your AAA membership could save you money. AAA's newest approved service partner, Jiffy Lube of Indiana, offers AAA members $25 off a Jiffy Lube signature service oil change every Thursday on AAA Day. Just show your AAA card and save.
And don't forget AAA's legendary roadside service. Flat tire, dead battery, run out of gas, lock your keys in the car. AAA is there 24/7, 365. What are you waiting for? Join AAA today. To get your AAA membership, visit AAA.com. Call 844-GO-AAA-GO or visit a local AAA office. AAA members save $25 every Thursday on AAA Day at Jiffy Lube. Visit AAA.com/Jiffy Lube to find a location near you.
Don't give in to that constant joint pain. Take control. Take back your quality of life today with help from QC Kinetics. Tony Katz here, and QC Kinetics is helping people every day here and across the country with their amazing non-surgical treatments that repair and restore damaged joint tissue, utilizing the latest advances in regenerative medicine, taking your own body's healing agents and concentrating them right in the area where you have the agonizing pain. This non-invasive approach helps you take back control of your body, relieving the pain in knees, hips, shoulders, or your back. No invasive surgery, no harmful drugs or steroids, and no downtime. Call now for your free consultation with QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. QC Kinetics is in Eagle Creek, in Greenwood, and now in Carmel. So call 317-559-PAIN. That's 317-559-PAIN in Eagle Creek, in Greenwood, and now in Carmel. QC Kinetics, 317-559-PAIN.
Investing involves risk, including possible loss of principal. Income may be subject to state, local, or federal alternative minimum tax.
The stock market dropped by over.
The Federal Reserve raised interest rates.
Let's face it, investing can feel pretty scary and overwhelming these days, especially if you're retired or close to retirement, which is why you should consider investing in municipal bonds from Henny & Walsh. Municipal bonds can provide a source of federally tax-free retirement income. Plus, an investment in municipal bonds is an investment in America. Municipal bonds help finance major civil projects across the country, like the Golden Gate Bridge and Hoover Dam, as well as local roads, bridges, and schools. Call 1-800-761-9761 right now for our informative free bond guide and learn how you can earn tax-free retirement income while investing in America's future. Just dial 1-800-761-9761 for the free Henny & Walsh bond guide. There's no cost and no obligation. 1-800-761-9761.
Henny & Walsh Inc., member of FINRA and SIPC.
Are you working way too hard for way too little? There's never been a better time to consider a career in IT. You could enjoy a recession-resistant career in a rewarding field with plenty of growth opportunities and often flexible work environments. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. You could start your new career in months, not years. Take classes online or on campus, and financial aid is available to qualified students, including the GI Bill. Now is the time. mycomputercareer.edu.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Hammer and Nigel presents
It depends upon what the meaning of the word is.
Is this anything?
All right, let's rock and roll.
And with Big Nige being out today, Jerry Lopez is filling in. He gets to play America's fastest growing game sensation, Is This Anything? And this is how it works. I'm going to run some stories by Jerry. He's going to break down all the information. He'll give you a verdict. Is the story anything or not? You ready to roll?
Ready to roll.
Is this anything? Andrew Luck will officially be eligible for the NFL Hall of Fame ballot in 2024, next year. Now, he's not part of the Colts Ring of Honor, but could get a few votes for the NFL Hall of Fame. Is this anything?
Yeah, I think it's about as quick and as fruitless as his career was. So it doesn't matter if this is a thing now. It's cute right now because they know it stirs up controversy. This is not a thing. This is not a thing.
Are you one of the folks that feels like Andrew Luck quit on his team?
I'm one of those people that feels like winning the division was always a foregone conclusion, so I give you no credit for that ever. Like, making the playoffs was not a big deal as Colts fans because we always did. When I look past that, I don't think he did much. I think he missed out on the years where he could have actually taken them to the next level. So, no, it's not a thing for me.
I'm not going to lie. I'd settle for one of those division titles right now.
Yeah.
Right now, I'd settle for one of those division titles. But, man, I remember the last time we saw Andrew Luck in Indianapolis. Nigel was at the game. Preseason final game against the Bears.
Booed off the field.
Yeah. Last image we have of Andrew
Luck. He did
Luck.
it horribly. I mean, you quit 6 weeks before. Like, I think people would be less upset if you made the decision at the end of your year and let everybody know what was going on. But I felt like he left the fans and the organization standing, trying to find a quarterback with like 6 weeks before the season started.
And there's a lot of dudes in that locker room. And I was friends with a couple players during that era. They wouldn't come out publicly and say it, but they were pissed. Yeah. They were pissed off, and they thought he quit. Yeah. But if you come out and say that, you've got writers from the Star and everybody, well, you don't know what's going on in his life. You get all that crap. So I get it. Is this anything? A couple in Colorado claims to have had the very first wedding officiated by AI. Here is some of the ceremony officiated by ChatGPT for the newlyweds.
Thank you all for joining us today to celebrate the extraordinary love and unity of Reese Allison Winch and Dayton Truitt. We are honored and grateful to have each and every one of you here. We witness the joining of two souls in love, and on this remarkable day, we also embrace an extraordinary moment of innovation, as we have the privilege of being part of the first AI-officiated wedding. We eagerly look upon this ceremony not only as a celebration of your love, but also as a symbol of unity between humanity and artificial intelligence.
That anything?
I mean, it could be Stephen Hawking, but I don't know. I would be more impressed if it was narrated by like Oregon Trail, the old school computer or something like that.
I love the Oregon Trail.
I don't think this is very cool.
Without the Oregon Trail, I wouldn't know what dysentery was because I always died from it in Oregon Trail, and I don't know if anybody's ever died from it in real life. But if you didn't get the right medicine and the right goods in that damn Oregon Trail, you were dying of dysentery.
Yep. And I tried to ford the river, and we never made it.
Yeah, I don't know. ChatGPT, as long as it's certified, I guess you could save some bucks on your wedding because, man, weddings ain't cheap. You've got daughters, right?
Yeah.
One day, you're going to be on the hook for a big wedding.
Maybe this needs to be a thing. Is that what you're telling me? This needs to be a thing.
I'm just saying, don't rule it out.
I just think it's weird. It's not that cool to me.
If anything, this gives us an excuse to have great moments in pastor history, whether it's AI, whether it's in real life, great moments in pastor history. Remember the pastor in Missouri that went viral because he shamed his congregation because they didn't buy him lavish gifts.
See, that's how I know you still poor, broke, busted, and disgusted because of how you've been honoring me. I'm not worth your McDonald's money. I'm not worth your Red Lobster money. I ain't worth your St. John knit. Y'all can't afford it no how. I ain't worth y'all Louis Vuitton.
Wow.
I ain't worth your Prada. I'm not worth your Gucci. You can buy a Movado watch in Sam's. Yes, you can. And y'all know I asked for one last year. Here it is the whole way in August. I still ain't got it. Y'all ain't saying nothing. Let me kick down the door and talk to my cheap sons and daughters. I don't want to hear no more excuses about what y'all can't afford. You can't afford it because you don't see the value here. Y'all hear from y'all pastor and father, I'm over y'all. I'm over your cheap expressions.
Now, Jerry, look me in the eye and tell me he doesn't sound exactly like Reverend Brown in Coming to America.
That's exactly who I thought of.
And I want you to hold on to God's unchanging hand because He helped Joshua fight the battle of Jericho. Yes. He helped Daniel get out the lion's den. He helped Gilligan get off the island.
And not to be left out of the conversation, very underrated film, Don't Be a Menace to South Central While Drinking Your Juice in the Hood, the pastor in that movie.
Now I realize that every now and again, some of you women folk, you get hot, you get bothered, and every now and again you get hot and bothered. Well, what I want you to do when you get that hot and you need a little relief, I want you to call me.
Call me. Great moments in pastor history, exclusively here on the Hammer and Nigel Show.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
A Marion County deputy killed. Partly cloudy and 85 degrees downtown. Your radar's clear. Tonight's low down to 63. I'm Harrison Silcox. Here's what's trending at 429. While driving an inmate back from a hospital visit this morning, a Marion County deputy was attacked.
I want to make something clear. The investigation to this point shows clearly that this was an intentional act of homicide and will be investigated as such.
IMPD Deputy Chief Chris Bailey. Deputy John Durham was killed, and the inmate tried to get away in the van but crashed it near the Community Justice Center. They're now in custody. Durham spent nearly 40 years of his life working in law enforcement. Nearly 600 guns is how a man from North Vernon made over $400,000, say court documents. David Mold's accused of buying those guns from gun shows and then selling them to two people who would move them to Mexico. He's charged with unlicensed firearm dealing and, if convicted, could spend up to 5 years in federal prison. The Biden administration is asking a federal court to put an order on hold that restricts agencies from communicating with social media companies. Fox's Jared Halpern reports.
The Justice Department wants an appeals court to put a hold on a lower court judge's order, barring several federal agencies from meeting with social media companies about content moderation. Louisiana federal judge Terry Dowdy denied the administration's request to stay his own order during an appeal. He made the order as part of a lawsuit from Republican attorneys general, website owners, and other critics of the government's COVID-19 policies. That lawsuit alleges the Biden administration censored free speech by pressuring social media companies to remove misinformation. Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Larry Nassar, the former sports doctor who's in a federal prison in Florida for sexually assaulting female athletes, was stabbed several times during an altercation. Reports say he's in stable condition after being stabbed twice in the neck, also in the back and at the chest. The average price you're paying for a gallon of gas in Indiana today, $3.22 per gallon. That's according to GasBuddy.com. Your stock report, the Dow finishing up 209 to 33,944. The Nasdaq was up 24 to 13,685. And the S&P 500 finishing up 10 today to 4,409. You're 1 minute away from traffic and weather. It's 4:32.
Meet Edwina. She loves summers in Indy, but hates to paint year after year, so she called Rhino Shield.
So over the years, I had to touch up the house. I just got to the point where I couldn't spend any more money on the outside of the house. And when I saw Rhino Shield, I thought that was the answer to my problem.
And Rhino Shield's not paint. It's better.
I'd had painters here before, and it was usually quite a disaster with them leaving their equipment here and picking up things in the yard. But Rhino Shield was right on it.
Indy, get the 25-year guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield right now for 10% off the regular price.
The gentleman said, if you're interested, give me a call. And I said, honestly, can you come tomorrow?
Here's owner Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl.
Go Rhino.
Don't paint. Don't vinyl. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
With traffic at 433, here's Matt Bear.
Fam, watch your Southside reroutes. We have a crash now, Harding and Raymond. That's really made a mess of westbound Raymond at Harding and a little further back. Also a crash now, Bluff Road to Troy Avenue. Looking at northbound 65, stop and go traffic after 465 into the South Split. Westbound 70, also rerouters making a stop and go from South Split out to Harding Street. Eastbound 70, stop and go into downtown from Harding into the South Split. And westbound 465, bad from 74 to 65. Traffic sponsored by Indy Decorative Concrete. Imagine the possibilities of getting the backyard of your dreams. Expand your living space with an Indy Decorative Concrete patio. Indy Decorative Concrete, the patio experts. Big enough to service, small enough to care. I'm Matt Bear. Follow us on Twitter for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
And the forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
A mostly clear Monday night as lows fall into the low to mid 60s. Tuesday, prepare for a hot day with lots of sunshine. Highs are going to be in the upper 80s, some locations in the 90s. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Stephen Deanna for 93 WIBC.
And I'm Harrison Silcox on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Do you have a crawl space? Do you know what's in your crawl space? Hi, I'm Adam Swain with Swain Co. Crawl Space and Basement Repair, a real local Indiana family-owned crawl space and basement repair contractor. Protect your family and your home from your unhealthy crawl space by calling Indy's most trusted, award-winning experts for a free crawl space consultation at 317-407-1868 or SwainCoLLC.com. And don't forget to ask about our easy, no-interest, no-payment financing.
Hammer and Nigel here for our pal Mark Deedle. Look, the U.S. home price index is on the rise. Interest rates are stabilizing. The market turning more seller-friendly. So if you've been waiting, now may be the best time to sell your home. Find out why the only agent we recommend on the Hammer and Nigel show is Mark Deedle. Perhaps you're worried about settling for less money with a low-ball instant offer, or whatever the reason is. You can put all of your fears aside when you work with the best in the business. So, Mark Deedle has a guarantee in place. Mark Deedle guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed-upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. That is the Mark Deedle guarantee. So, reach out to him today. Don't wait. 317-755-4232. That's 755-4232, or go online to markdeedle.com. That's Mark, D-I-E-T-E-L, markdeedle.com. Tell him Hammer and Nigel sent you.
Whether you're an experienced firearms owner or are just thinking about getting a new firearm, Atkinson Firearms in Greenwood has everything you need. With brands like Glock, Smith & Wesson, Canik, Colt, Henry, SIG, and much more. If Atkinson Firearms doesn't have it, they can get it. Plus accessories, from holsters to ammo and everything between. Atkinson Firearms is firefighter owned and veteran staff with a new larger location. Follow Atkinson Firearms on Facebook. Atkinson Firearms, off County Line Road next to the Greenwood Airport.
You're listening to the Hammer and Nigel Show.
More coming up a little bit later on. Big news day today. Not a lot of positive stories to talk about. But you know what? I think this story falls into the positive category. I'm Jason Hammer, by the way. Jerry Lopez filling in for Big Nige. Larry Nassar got stabbed in prison today. And Jerry, if it makes me the bad guy for liking this, for being happy about this, for seeing that he got stabbed in the back, in the front, in the neck, and say hello to the bad guy then, because I'm fine with this. This guy's one of the biggest perverts, biggest creepers that I can remember. Now, for those who don't remember who Larry Nassar is, he was the guy that was basically abusing female gymnasts sexually. He was employed by Michigan State, and a lot of these female gymnasts were claiming he was sexually abusing them. And then he got busted for it. He's in jail. He got stabbed. I got no issues with that.
Yeah, and we're talking about like 40 girls over 14 months, everybody from Simone Biles, you know, down the list of the U.S. Olympic team. There's one thing I know for sure. If you do this, you do not want to go to jail, because this is how they handle it. And so sometimes in a lot of cases like this, the jail justice system works just as good, if not better, than the normal justice system. I see nothing wrong with this. I let predators take care of predators. So,
prison is such a hellhole. The rules of engagement inside those walls, unfortunately, if you take the life of a law official, you're going to be viewed as some sort of almost made man from the mafia inside those walls. But if you harm a child, if you sexually abuse a woman in some way, you're right. Prison justice sometimes might not always be swift, but it is just when it happens.
And it's showing up no matter who you are. It may take days, months, years, but it always shows up. And it's something to be said when the hardest of hard criminals view this as a on-site repercussion.
And think about this creepy bastard up at Michigan State doing this for years. And so many young women were afraid to come forward and speak. And then you look at what happened at Penn State with Jerry Sandusky and the sexual assault that was going on there. Did Joe Paterno know about it? These are pretty big black eyes on the Big Ten. But I'd like to remind you that Christine Brennan, a writer for the USA Today, once said that the biggest black eye in the history of the Big Ten was when they decided to play football during the COVID year. Do you remember this?
I do.
The biggest black eye that the Big Ten ever had was Ohio State leading the way for football to come back. Yet you've got the Sandusky situation at Penn State and the Larry Nassar situation at East Lansing.
So they had Joe Rojas. He's the president of Local 506. They represent the employees at the correctional facility that Nassar's at. Said he's confirming that Nassar took 2 to the neck, 2 to the back, 6 to the chest, and suffered a collapsed lung.
And he lived through this.
And yeah, he has substantial injuries, but he's not dead.
But that tells me they were trying to kill him.
Yeah.
This wasn't like, I got a quick shank in.
This is a hit.
Yeah. This was an attempted homicide, but somehow, some way, this dude is going to live through it.
Well, and the sad thing is, I mean, just person to person, I don't want anybody to die. It's hard to root for this guy. But even if they move him to another facility, it's just a matter of time. It doesn't have to be today. There probably will come a day where he wish it was today.
And it's interesting to me that you're right. This probably isn't the first threat that he's had.
No.
I wonder how often he was mixing it up with other inmates. Because the Delphi murderer that took 2 lives. Now, Larry Nassar did not kill children in cold blood. He sexually abused them. But the Delphi killer, he was put into solitary right away because all the inmates started chirping and almost made it to the point to where he felt suicidal, and they put him on suicide watch.
I'm sure Larry Nassar's on the same kind of protected order. They probably don't have him out in Gen Pop. But let's be real, man. Like, whether it's prison guards, whether it's prisoner, nobody likes anybody who molests kids. So if somebody somehow gets you 3 minutes, a la Jeffrey Epstein's cameras are shut down for 2 minutes,
right?
We can make things. We don't know what happened to the camera recording.
The cameras were down the same time the guards weren't there.
We don't know. We don't know what happened. Don't know what happened to Larry.
Jerry Lopez is filling in for Big Nige today. So Ben and Jerry, the ice cream people, very progressive, very liberal. They've been putting all these social media posts out there about stolen land that should be returned. They're one of these people that if you scroll through your timeline on Independence Day, 4th of July, they're always trying to make you feel guilty for celebrating the country. They're those types of folks. And they feel like the stolen land should be given back to people. You sent me this story this morning.
I agree with them. I agree with them. So they came out of all days, they put out a tweet on July 4th. And it says, and this is from the official Ben & Jerry's account, and as a Jerry, I take this personally, so I have to fight against this. This is the 4th of July. It's high time we recognize that the U.S. exists on stolen indigenous land and commit to returning it. Learn more on how to take action at Ben & Jerry's, whatever. It wasn't even one day. One day. A Native American tribe that originally controlled the land in Vermont that Ben & Jerry's headquarters is located on wants their land returned to them after the company publicly called for stolen lands to be returned.
So Ben and Jerry's, chirping about stolen land, operate their business on stolen land.
Yeah.
I assume they've responded to folks and they've agreed to give the land up. Right?
So far they're not fielding any more calls on that. I don't expect for them to give it back, but I think that's the only response now is when somebody makes a comment like that, every posting under Ben and Jerry's needs to say, are you going to give up your Vermont headquarters back to the indigenous tribe that you stole the land from? Because once you make a comment like that, if you don't back it up, you just have to go away.
Stolen land and reparations are hot right now for the political left in this country. They feel like they got a lot of momentum behind that, and Ben and Jerry's probably didn't think anybody would actually fact check them on their bullcrap. Now, on the subject of reparations, California Reparations Task Force, they claim they want to eliminate child support from black residents. An 1,100-page report claimed discriminatory laws result in black Californians being burdened with child support debt, Jerry.
Yeah, so they want to eliminate interest for post-due child support, and they also want to eliminate accrued interest on existing child support. Now, don't worry, this is only going to be for the black residents, so everybody else, don't get excited. And it's also going to provide forgiveness for low-income debt people as well. So if you are so far in the rears and you make no money, it makes it sound like they want to get rid of it. I guess my only question is, who does this help besides the deadbeat dads? Like, this does not help the mother who's raising the child on her own. This does not help the child who's been abandoned by their father. And really, it helps nobody other than this person that isn't willing to do what they stand up for. Now, we'll take it a step further. This task force has already said that blacks and black residents in California are already owed $800 billion for reparations.
Sure.
You know, that's how serious we should take them. But this is an actual, they're actually going for this. And it blows my mind because I don't know. The number one issue affecting people of color in our community is fatherless homes. They should not be paying people or like being okay with you being out. You want to fix this, you hold people accountable, and it will help people of color. You want this to go south, don't hold anybody accountable, and things will continue to go the way they're going.
So if I understand this correctly, black folks in California don't have to pay child support if they get this through. Let's hear from Nick Cannon.
Yes! Yes! Oh, yeah! Can you feel that, buddy? Huh?
Feel like Nick's in favor of that. All right, let's give away some tickets here. We have got tickets to go see the Eagles coming to Indy. This is a big one. So, caller number 9, 239-9393. We have a fun little game you're going to play, but you have to be caller number 9. Eagles, the Long Goodbye Tour, October 9th at Gamebridge. Fun little game, big tickets on the line, 239-9393.
Have you saved enough? Do you have a plan for Social Security and taxes in retirement? Hey, Casey Weed of Howard Bailey Financial, where our mission is to help you gain clarity and purpose and elevate meaning in your life through personal and practical financial strategies. That's why we want to give you our Retire with Purpose Toolkit at no cost. In it, you'll find valuable information on minimizing taxes, maximizing Social Security, and building a retirement income you can't outlive. Plus, you'll receive a copy of my book, Job Optional. To get your complimentary toolkit, call or text the keyword INFO 42 to 866-482-9559. That's INFO 42 to 866-482-9559.
Howard Bailey Financial is the official wealth management partner of Notre Dame Athletics. Notre Dame Athletics was compensated for this endorsement and is not a current client of Howard Bailey. For more information, please visit howardbailey.com/ND disclosure. Investment advisory services may be offered through Howard Bailey Securities LLC, a registered investment advisor. Working with Howard Bailey Securities LLC cannot guarantee investment success or that specific financial goals will be achieved.
Get ready for the Diamonds Direct Midsummer Savings Event. Starting Friday, you can take an extra 20% off virtually everything. Rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, and more. You get Diamonds Direct's already unbeatable price, plus an extra 20% off. Thousands of engagement mountings, fashion styles, and wedding bands included. Plus, acclaimed jewelry designers will be in store with an expanded selection. All the latest styles and trends, all on sale. You can't miss this. Diamonds Direct's sizzling summer store-wide sale. Starting Friday. Get details at diamondsdirect.com.
If you're a Medicaid member, you should know guaranteed coverage is coming to an end. Keep an eye on your mailbox for important information from Medicaid. When you receive it, go online and enter your updated information to maintain your coverage. or to find other coverage if you're no longer eligible for Medicaid. Keep your health and keep your coverage. Learn more at fssabenefits.in.gov.
Have you lost Indiana Medicaid? At healthcare.gov, you can find a low-cost, quality health plan.
Do plans cover doctor visits?
What about emergency care?
And prescriptions?
All covered and more. Plus, with the new law, 4 out of 5 customers can find a plan for $10 or less per month with financial help. Healthcare.gov is here for you. Enroll today for coverage starting the 1st of next month. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Imagine the possibilities of getting the backyard of your dreams. Expand your living space with an Indie Decorative Concrete patio. Indie Decorative Concrete, the patio experts. Big enough to service, small enough to care.
There's a lot of sexy content on the internet. And there's WIBC, full of faces meant for radio. Hammer and Nigel, Kendall and Casey. Okay, Casey could be on TV. Now streaming every day on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel here for our pals at the Low T Center. There's a lot of people talking about testosterone, but you need to do your homework and go to a provider that you can trust. The Low T Center is your one-stop shop for all things men's health. In addition to testosterone issues, they can check you for a number of different ailments. If you've got liver or kidney issues, they can check cholesterol. They can screen you for some types of cancers. And the best part, the best thing of all, is that at the Low T Center, most health insurance is accepted. Worst case scenario, you don't have insurance, it's less than $100 cash pay. And right now, at the Low T Center, it's only $25 to get your T level tested. So what are you waiting for? Go to lowtcenter.com, book that appointment online. lowtcenter.com, Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
A small $1 Slurpee drink from Speedway is the perfect frozen accessory for any summer outfit or whenever outfit. Slurpee, anything flows. Expires 12/31/2023 plus tax. Visit store for details.
Hey, Matt Bear, what's up?
Looking at westbound 465. It's closed from 65 over to 70 because of construction that's going on for the rest of the month, and traffic's going everywhere, all over the place. Northbound 65 stop and go after I-465 up to the south split. Westbound 465 jammed in parts from 74 past Emerson Avenue. Westbound 70 out the south split stop and go out to Harding. Eastbound lanes also stop and go from Belmont to Meridian, Illinois. Traffic sponsored by Indie Decorative Concrete. Imagine the possibilities of getting the backyard of your dreams. Expand your living space with an Indie Decorative Concrete patio. Indie Decorative Concrete, the patio experts, big enough to service, small enough to care. I'm Matt Bear. Follow us on Twitter for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
84 at the American Standard Cooling Weather Center. Let's give away some tickets here.
Welcome to the Hotel California.
You're listening to the Hammer and Nigel Show.
The Eagles, the Long Goodbye Tour, October 9th at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. The game we're going to play today is called The Eagles, So Much Better Than the Eagles.
The Eagles are so much better than the Eagles.
Thank you, Senator Fetterman. Kyle was caller number 9. Kyle, how the hell are you?
I'm great.
So, Kyle, this is how the game's going to work. Here in just a moment, my man Jerry's going to read you a name. It will either be the name of somebody that's a band member of the Eagles or somebody that's a member of the Philadelphia Eagles football team. You get 3 out of 5 correct, we're going to give you these tickets, okay?
All right, sounds great.
All right. Eagles, so much better than Eagles, number 1. All right, Kyle. Turn your microphone on there.
Let's go Don Henley.
Don Henley, Kyle.
The band, the Eagles.
Yes, 1 down. We just got to get 2 more. All right, here we go. Number 2.
All right, let's go with Vince Gill.
Vince Gill.
The Eagles, the band.
Yes, 2 down, 1 to go. Punch this one through the roof, and we'll give you the tickets. Here we go.
Randall Cunningham.
Randall Cunningham is the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah!
Welcome to the Hotel California.
My man, Kyle. You are going to the Long Goodbye Tour. Monday, October 9th, Gainbridge Fieldhouse. You big Eagles guy, Kyle?
Damn.
Right on. Love to hear that. I like it when people are excited to win prizes as opposed to some folks who win and they're like, screw it. So I'm happy that you're excited wanting to go. And as always, these are the rules. Because you won the tickets, somebody has to be the designated driver for you that night.
Sounds great.
All right, stay on the line. Allison will take care of you, okay?
Will do.
All right. And we're going to have more tickets coming up all throughout the week here on the Hammer and Nigel show. So, Jerry, tell me what the Essence Festival is and why it's trending.
So the Essence Festival is kind of a music festival that's put on by African-American entertainment / media, picture BET-esque.
Okay.
And it was led this year by a performer named Jill Scott, big name, national name. She performed what she is dubbing and what has since been dubbed by the Essence Festival as essentially the only version of the national anthem that will be acceptable from here on out.
Who say, can you see by the blood in the streets that this place doesn't smile on you, colored child?
Was this song 18 minutes long?
Yeah.
Wow.
Whose blood built this land?
Okay, you can turn that off now. Good Lord. So that was something viewed in a positive light.
Yeah, from one side of the country definitely viewed that as positive.
When I heard that, I had flashbacks to Carl Lewis. Remember when Carl Lewis did the national anthem before that NBA game with the Bulls? And I think it was the Nets.
Oh, say, can you see? And the Rockets, red flag.
Uh-oh.
I'll make up for it now.
No, you're not.
For the land of the free.
Top stories are coming up next.
Summer storm season is in full swing here in Indiana. When the next storm hits and leaves you with wind and hail damage, there is no need to worry. Tony Katz here, and Moss Roofing is here in central Indiana to help you through it all. They can repair storm damage to your roof and siding. Moss Roofing not only gives free inspections, but they also help guide their customers through the annoying insurance process to help give their customers the best experience possible. That's why Moss Roofing is your trusted Indianapolis roofing contractor. You get a roof done right every single time. If your roof needs an inspection, call now. Minor storm damage can lead to major repairs if you don't get it fixed as soon as possible. Contact Moss Roofing at 317-747-3665. Don't forget to tell them Tony Katz sent you. 317-747-3665. 747-3665 or online at Moss, M-O-S-S, mossroofing.com. That's mossroofing.com.
Garage door problems? Call today for service today. Garage Doors of Indianapolis has been solving garage door problems for 33 years. Call today for service today. 875-4577. Garage Doors of Indianapolis services all makes of garage doors 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Call today for service today. Get it fixed right now. Call Garage Doors of Indianapolis at 875-4577 or visit doorstoday.com.
In the morning, call 875-4577. Service today.
Here's what's trending now. You can defer payments of a full NetSuite implementation for 6 months. 33,000 companies have already upgraded to NetSuite, gaining visibility and control over their financials, inventory, HR, e-commerce, and more. Everything they need to reduce manual processes, boost efficiency, build forecasts, and increase productivity. Whether your business generates millions or hundreds of millions of dollars, take advantage of the special financing offer of no payments or interest for 6 months at netsuite.com/today. That's netsuite.com/today.
Summer weather is finally here, and that means it's time for flip-flops, sandals, and your summer wardrobe. But for some people, it's the season of painful feet. Hi, this is Phoebe with the Good Feet store, and to keep you out of pain and having fun this summer, you need some great support in all those shoes you're wearing. Our patented arch support system has helped countless people find relief from foot, knee, hip, and back pain. Like Dale. Listen to his real Good Feet story.
This planet is so incredibly beautiful that I can't get enough of it. I did 950 miles on the Pacific Crest Trail, and Good Feet was with me all the way. Your passion's important, but if your body aches and if your heel feels like you've got a nail stuck in it and won't come out, trust me, it's going to wear you down. The Good Feet store knew what they were talking about and took the time to really dial in what I needed. I hiked 84 miles in the Himalaya and to do it pain-free. You think I'm not grateful for Good Feet?
So stop in today for your free personalized fitting and test walk and see what the Good Feet store can do for you this summer.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who pay attention to every little detail. The ones who fuss, tinker, and sweat the small stuff. Because you know the tiniest thing can make the biggest difference when it comes to keeping business moving. We get it. We're the same way, offering access to product experts to help you quickly and easily find what you need. So whatever your industry, you know you're always getting professional-grade products. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Coming up in 2 minutes, a Marion County deputy was killed this morning after they were assaulted by an inmate, and what the city county council's voting on tonight and what it may or may not change, and a fallen officer in Tell City being remembered. All that and more coming up after Fox News Radio from the Peterman Brothers Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical Studios. You are listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 5 o'clock.
Sweden is a step closer to joining NATO. I'm Rich Dennison, Fox News. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg today announcing Turkey has agreed to advance Sweden's NATO application.
All of this coming just on the eve of the NATO summit, which will be held in Lithuania, where President Biden currently is. But he did, of course, make that stop here in the United Kingdom. The last stop of the meeting was to talk with King Charles III. Biden traveled to Windsor Castle, where he met with the king for the first time since his coronation took place. Biden also met with British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, discussing economic partnerships and whether Sweden would join NATO. Of course, news that we are now learning more and more about.
Fox's Alex Hogan in London. Police in Philadelphia say a suspected gunman may have killed his first victim days before he went on a shooting spree last week.
Philadelphia police say a 911 call about sounds of shots fired inside a home made to them early on July 2nd went unattended due to confusion about the address, but the body of 31-year-old Joseph Wama Jr. was eventually located, and it is now believed he was the first victim of Kim Brady Carricker, the man police say killed 4 other people during a shooting rampage on the streets of Philadelphia the night of July 3rd.
Fox's Evan Brown. Heavy weekend rain brought flash flooding throughout New York State, where at least one person in the Hudson Valley died. Governor Kathy Hochul crediting first responders for saving lives.
As bad as it was, it could have been far worse had we not been ready, had you not been here on the ground, and all the rescue efforts that were underway.
More heavy rain in parts of Connecticut, New York, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Vermont, and Maine. Stocks ending the day in positive territory. The Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ all closing higher. The Dow ending a 4-day losing streak ahead of new inflation data coming out later this week. America is listening to Fox News.
'93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
They were on their way back from the hospital. Cloudy at 84 degrees in the circle. No rain on the radar. Low of 63 tonight. I'm Harrison Silcox. Here's what's trending at 5:02. Marion County Deputy John Durham has died after he was assaulted by an inmate this morning.
John's just a good guy. He really was. I mean, he's 38 years. You can't give that much law enforcement to your community and not have meant something.
Sheriff Kerry Forrestal. Durham was driving an inmate in a van back from a hospital visit when he was attacked. The inmate tried stealing that van but crashed it near the Community Justice Center before he was taken into custody. IMPD says it's being investigated as a homicide. The drowning of a 15-year-old Whiteland High School student on May 16th has been ruled an accident by the Johnson County coroner, and the county prosecutor says no criminal laws were broken by school employees either. Elena Dildine had a seizure while swimming underneath the bulkhead that separates the swimming lanes from the diving pool. She was underwater for nearly an hour before someone noticed. After half an hour of CPR, she was pronounced dead at the scene. The Indianapolis City Council will vote tonight on Mayor Joe Hogshead's gun control proposals, even though they can't actually be enforced under state law. Lee Williams with the Second Amendment Foundation tells Wish TV this is a political game by Hogshead.
I would say that what they're doing is classic misdirection. They want their residents to look over here rather than look at the crime.
The mayor says he wants to send a message to state lawmakers. Hundreds gathered at Tell City High School to celebrate the life of Police Sergeant Heather Glenn. Kurt Darling reports.
The funeral for Sergeant Heather Glenn in Tell City.
I know many of you know Heather primarily as a police officer, and she was. But she was also so many things to so many people.
Glenn was shot and killed early last week. The pastor leading the ceremony recalling Glenn's love of animals.
There were some dogs somehow that got into the school today. I don't know if some of you saw that. And one of our friends said they believe that's how they're calling them in.
Glenn will be buried at Greenwood Cemetery in Tell City. Kirk Darling, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
You're 1 minute away from traffic and weather. It's 5:04.
Hi, it's Steve Mann. Have you heard the commercials for the Mark Patrick Stop Smoking seminars? And they said only $49.99 and it could work for you. So I thought, that's not even a week's worth of smoking. So I went. And guess what? It did work for me. You know, my friends and family are still amazed. I quit smoking. I didn't have cravings, anxiety, or weight gain. Listen, I don't know how it works, but I know it works because I'm living proof, and it's 100% guaranteed. So what do you got to lose? I'll tell you what you got to lose. A very bad habit.
Join Mark Patrick Seminars and stop smoking without cravings, irritability, or weight gain. Early bird special only $49.99 guaranteed. Don't just cut down, but stop smoking once and for all or your money back. Seminars 8 p.m. on Thursday, July 20th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Noblesville, or 2 p.m. on Saturday, July 22nd at the Holiday Inn Indianapolis Airport. Registration is 30 minutes before the seminar. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com. That's markpatrickseminars.com.
With traffic on the fives at 5:05. What's going on, Matt Bear?
Harrison, the crash at Bluff and Troy could make west side reroutes a little more difficult. I'm talking about reroutes around the westbound 465 closure from 65 over to I-70, and that's going on through the rest of the month, pushing traffic everywhere on northbound 65 stop and go from 465 into the south split delay continues in the westbound lanes towards the airport stop and go out to Belmont. Westbound 465 Beach Grove stop to stop and go 74 to 65 and inbound 70 jams. Sherman Drive into the North Split. Traffic sponsored by Comcast Business. Is it possible to protect your small business from big cyber threats? It is, with the help of advanced security from Comcast Business. Restrictions apply. Requires Comcast Business Internet, leased router, and security edge. I'm Matt Bear. Follow us on Twitter for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
And the forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
A mostly clear Monday night as lows fall into the low to mid 60s. Tuesday, prepare for a hot day with lots of sunshine. Highs are going to be in the upper 80s, some locations in the 90s. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Stephen Deanna for 93 WIBC.
And I'm Harrison Silcox on the level on the go and on WIBC.com.
Hammer and Nigel.
Can you believe these characters are weirdos?
So let's rock it!
A Marion County Sheriff's deputy died earlier today after he was attacked by an inmate. Marion County Sheriff Kerry Forrestal confirmed Deputy John Durham, 61 years old, 38-year veteran of the department, died from his injuries in the attack, survived by his wife, 4 children, his parents, and several other family members. He was returning an inmate from a medical exam, and this happened just outside of Eskenazi Hospital. And the piece of trash that did this, according to reports that we're reading, is the same scumbag that killed the woman outside of the daycare on the west side back in 2022. Unfortunately, those are the reports that we're getting. Orlando Mitchell, 34 years old, is accused of killing this Marion County Sheriff's Office deputy. He's the same piece of trash that was locked up for killing a woman outside of a daycare on September 16th, 2022. It was the mother of his 1-year-old son. Unbelievable. So brokenhearted for this officer's family. And again, this piece of trash can't meet his maker fast enough. Matt Baer, you're in the WIBC Traffic Center. What are you seeing in regards to police activity outside the hospital? Matt, can you hear me? Okay, we'll get Matt back on here in just a little bit. A lot of activity going on. Can we connect with Matt in the back? Okay. A lot of police activity going on, and this is the third law enforcement death in less than a week. And Jerry Lopez filling in for Big Nige. We saw an Indiana State Trooper lose his life. We saw an officer in Tell City lose her life. And today, a Marion County Sheriff's deputy dies after an inmate tries to escape following a medical examination. Just one of those sad times in Indiana.
Yeah, it would be very easy to understand how the police feel like they're probably being attacked right now. So if you're a police officer and you're listening to this station, just know that we support you. Our hearts and thoughts are with you guys. And civilians, man, if you see a cop today, go shake a hand and just say thank you, because somewhere they have a spouse, a child, a family member who's probably crying when they walk out of that door, terrified that maybe dad won't come back. So just take 10 seconds, buy a coffee, say thank you for your service. And, you know, it's not an easy job, but thank God that people like that do it every single day. So that we can just go about business normal as ever. So just try to give them a shout out today.
And the more information we get, we will pass it on to you here at 93 WIBC. The number one movie in America was not Indiana Jones, was not Spider-Man. It was the movie Sound of Freedom, about human trafficking, especially children trafficking. Now, this fact-based story follows Tim Ballard, played by Jim Caviezel, Homeland Security agent tasked with bringing pedophiles to justice. And then what he realizes is that there's some incredibly cruel things happening in society. So, Jerry, I turn to you. How did we get to the point in society where if you say, man, that movie was powerful, it becomes a political thing? Because the Washington Post, the Rolling Stone, and CNN, they claim you might as well have a tinfoil hat on and be a card-carrying member of QAnon if you're fascinated with this movie.
Yeah, so another good example of that, The Guardian, 5 years ago, sent out a tweet. Child sex trafficking rife in Colombia's picturesque Cartagena. The historic city is cracking down on the industry that targets children and young women from poor neighborhoods. But on July 6th, they had this to say about Sounds of Freedom. Sound of Freedom, the QAnon-adjacent thriller seducing America. Jim Caviezel stars as a hero trying to stop child traffickers in a paranoid new movie, turning into a surprise box office hit. So to your point, I don't know how far we have gone down in America where we can't all, regardless of where you stand politically, stand up together to stop the trafficking of children.
To say that this movie bringing attention to one of the most underreported things that happen in this country, human trafficking, and that's what this movie does. It brings attention to it. It's based off of a true story. But this is the headline from the Washington Post. Sound of Freedom is a box office hit whose star embraces QAnon. This is Rolling Stone. This is their review. Sound of Freedom, the QAnon thriller about child trafficking, is designed to appeal to the conscience of the conspiracy-addled boomer. CNN is basically demanding nobody go out and see this movie. They say if you go to this movie, again, you might as well end up being a card-carrying member of QAnon.
And The Sound of Freedom does focus on a real issue of sex trafficking. But that theme, it's sort of like that kernel of truth that feeds the QAnon conspiracy theory. Tell us how those two things work together.
These films are created out of moral panics. They're created out of bogus statistics. They're created out of fear. And with something like Sound of Freedom, it specifically is looking at QAnon concepts of these child trafficking rings that are run by the high-level elites, and only people like Tim Ballard and only people like Jim Caviezel, and by extension, only people like the ticket buyer can help bring these trafficking rings down. So there's a very participatory element.
So again, Jerry, imagine bending yourself into a pretzel to try to defend this movie because you want to stick it to Jim Caviezel. Like, that's a weird flex to me.
I mean, it's hard to not be on Jim Caviezel's side. Listen, Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were caught years ago, and we have not had one arrest or even a list or even a hint of a list of anybody who's been abusing these kids.
From the client list, for sure.
And they have hundreds of thousands of hours. If we're to believe everything they told us, Jeffrey Epstein kept very meticulous notes. He had photos. He had video, hundreds of thousands of hours of video. He had official flight logs. He had all this stuff. So I don't think that the powers that be are necessarily trying to put that out there either. So I am very happy that he put this out, and if it gains more attention, I know other companies are giving away free tickets to their employees to see this movie. I think there was a pay it forward moment on Twitter where you could go to a certain website and just get free tickets to watch this movie at your local box office. So I am all for this. I support this movement completely. If you walk away and just when you see a kid by themselves, if you watch this movie and you see a kid by themselves and it causes you to pay attention for 2 or 3 more minutes to make sure that kid's okay, then I am all for it.
Back in 2014, long before Donald Trump made his way into the White House, CBS, they did a fantastic segment on their news basically applauding Tim Ballard's work against child trafficking.
Last weekend, police broke up a major sex trafficking ring in Colombia, which has become a destination for tourists looking for sex with boys and girls. The police had help from an American who went undercover to rescue the children.
So that American was Tim Ballard. CBS loved it in 2014. 10 years later, that same media company is attacking you. If you're interested going to see it because you're part of QAnon, you might as well have a tinfoil hat on. How the hell did we get from 2014, child sex trafficking is bad, to 2023, wait, are you trying to tell me you're a conspiracy theorist? I mean, it's so gross how far we have fallen off as a society. It should bring Republicans and Democrats together, libertarians and everybody else, blacks, whites, Hispanics, whoever. Yep. Child trafficking is bad.
Finally, something we can all agree on.
Right. You'd think, yeah. But Rolling Stone and CNN and the Washington Post would disagree. This past weekend, Donald Trump showed up at a UFC fight, big card in the UFC. And man, did you see the video of him walking through the crowd? He looked like a
hero's welcome.
A rock star.
Yeah, he gets a hero's welcome every time he pulls up.
Standing ovation for Trump as he sat ringside and he watched the fights. Now, this was my favorite part. Had nothing to do with Donald Trump. So afterwards, UFC President Dana White, he put the smackdown on a reporter that was really trying to build up some sort of racial narrative between fighters in the UFC. So in the standoff in the ring after the main event, the challenger, who was a black guy, one of UFC's biggest smack talkers, went up to the guy that just won, who was a white guy, and started talking trash. He used the N-word repeatedly. You know, he could get away with it because he was a black guy. A reporter asked Dana White about that post-match, and I love this response. Take a listen.
The tension between those two and kind of the racial undertones and all those things. How do you...
What were the racial undertones?
Trigger says he's the real African fighter, and so, you know, Israel dropped some N-words in there tonight.
So what was the racial... Who did? Who dropped the racial...
Israel was saying over and over, yeah. Dropped
he's black.
50 N-bombs in there.
Okay, he's black. Who gives a
I was going to say, so you don't have any concern about the way the build-up, the tension between those two?
I could care less. This is the fight business. Israel Adesanya can say whatever he wants to say. Who gives a shit? Why are people bitching about that?
Some people.
Of course they are. Oh, f***ing A. All right, got it. Yeah. Too f***ing bad.
It's the fight business. Who cares? I love that response.
Now Dana White's full of it on this. He knows exactly what he's doing. So here you have the white fighter from South Africa. His last name's Du Plessis. And he is telling the black fighter from New Zealand that he's the real African. So that's where this comes from. So then Israel Adesanya jumps into the ring and he's, hey, my N-word, hey, my N-word, hey, my N-word. And Du Plessis goes, I'm from Africa, but I'm no brother of yours.
Okay.
So that's what this is about. This is if you don't think that they're going to use this 100% to hype this fight, then he's missing a great opportunity.
But at the same time, if this reporter expects Dana White of all dudes to fall for that ain't going to happen.
They're going to fight at the end, don't worry.
Right. Whether he was being racial or not, they're still going to punch each other in the face. All right, Matt Baer, hopefully we got everything worked out here. What's going on with the police presence at the hospital?
Okay, we're looking at eastbound 10th Street right now, and there is traffic there, so we do have more than usual backed up around Indiana Avenue. Same thing with Michigan Street. Watch out for that on campus around Eskenazi Avenue. Did have Maryland Street closed downtown for the police presence. That has reopened since. Westbound 465 stop and go from 74 past Emerson Avenue. That's rerouting traffic around the closure. Northbound 65 jams after 465 through the south split out to Harding. Traffic sponsored by LASIK Vision Institute. The LASIK Vision Institute is making LASIK even more affordable. Get $1,000 off LASIK when treated in July. That's $500 off per eye plus guaranteed financing. Visit LASIK.com for details. I'm Matt Baer. Follow us on Twitter for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
Coming up just about 10 minutes or so from right now, Mock from the Chicks on the Right will join us. We'll have a fun chat with Mock. But in the meantime, we're just hanging out. We got some good news, we got some bad news, but we are going to be here until 7 o'clock. 84 at the American Standard Cooling Weather Center. It's the Hammer and Nigel Show.
Summer weather is finally here, and that means it's time for flip-flops, sandals, and your summer wardrobe. But for some people, it's the season of painful feet. Hi, this is Phoebe with the Good Feet store, and to keep you out of pain and having fun this summer, you need some great support in all those shoes you're wearing. Our patented arch support system has helped countless people find relief from foot, knee, hip, and back pain. Like Dale. Listen to his real Good Feet story.
This planet is so incredibly beautiful that I can't get enough of it. I did 950 miles on the Pacific Crest Trail, and Good Feet was with me all the way. Your passion's important, but if your body aches and if your heel feels like you've got a nail stuck in it and won't come out, trust me, it's going to wear you down. The Good Feet store knew what they were talking about and took the time to really dial in what I needed. I hiked 84 miles in the Himalaya and to do it pain-free. You think I'm not grateful for Good Feet?
So stop in today for your free personalized fitting and test walk and see what the Good Feet store can do for you this summer.
Hammer and Nigel here for our good friends at American Standard Heating and Air. They are the best in the business. How do I know this? I am a customer. They have a number of different local and awesome independent dealers. Let me tell you about Family Heating and Air Conditioning. The Morris family and their staff, they're ready to hook you up this summer. So you could call Rachel, you could call Marcus, you could call Malia today to make sure that AC is ready for the really hot weather that you know is going to come to Indy. Family Heating and Air always encourages you to call them for a free second opinion, even if you already got a quote from another company. If something about that quote doesn't look right, call Family, because nobody takes care of you like Family. You can also find out about better indoor air quality as well. 317-577-8077 for Family Heating and Air. 577-8077. Tell them Hammer and Nigel sent you. American Standard Heating and Air, built to a higher standard.
If you used to hear a whole lot of this, but now you can barely hear this, you need to check out RelayIndiana.com and CapTel, the caption telephone. CapTel allows you to get your groove back when using the telephone. It uses voice recognition technology so you can read on a bright screen what the other caller is saying. Go to RelayIndiana.com and add clarity back into your conversations with CapTel, the caption telephone from Relay Indiana. Visit RelayIndiana.com now.
Hubler has all the top brands: Chevy, Buick, GMC, Ford, Acura, Honda, Mazda, Nissan, and more. And every new vehicle includes a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Looking to sell your vehicle? We'll pay you top dollar, even if you don't buy ours. Take it from Brooke Hubler.
You can get a car anywhere, but you can only get a warranty like this at Hubler. 10 years, 200,000 miles.
Visit drivehubler.com.
Hubler has it all.
Warranty available on new vehicles except certain models, not transferable or available on leases. Copy of the warranty is available for review at the dealership.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go: shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms: irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Inside Indiana Business Radio, the news you need to get ahead. Indiana's business news leader, weekdays at 6:32 a.m. and 5:56 p.m. on WIBC.
Crime, punishment, judges, legal stuff. And again, we are following this heartbreaking story from the Marion County Sheriff's Office, where a deputy has lost his life in the line of duty. Deputy John Durham was killed in an escape attempt by an inmate. That inmate was 34-year-old Orlando Mitchell. Now, if you remember, he is the one that is accused of shooting and killing his son's mother outside of a daycare back in 2022. Shot the mom at the daycare. This is that piece of trash. He allegedly murdered John Durham, stole the van that was being used to transport him to and from a medical examination, took off in the van, crashed it, has since been reapprehended, but just an awful, heartbreaking story. And all throughout the afternoon and evening, we will have you covered here at 93 WIBC. I'm Jason Hammer. Jerry Lopez filling in for Big Nige today. Do you know who Logan Paul is?
I do.
Jerry?
I do.
So Logan Paul at first was known as this YouTube personality. Now he's kind of a high roller with the WWE. His energy drink is called Prime Energy. And it's selling like hotcakes, man. People are buying this thing left and right. I see it all over the place. But Crying Chuck Schumer of New York, is calling for the FDA to investigate Logan Paul and his business partner KSI's Prime Energy drink, because they've noted that the amount of caffeine in this thing in one can is double the amount of a can of Red Bull. And because he's affiliated with YouTube and the WWE, they're concerned that kids are going to be drinking this thing, and that's too much caffeine.
I mean, that's exactly why kids are going to be drinking this thing, if we're being honest, because he's on YouTube and he's on WWE. I looked into this a little bit further. So it said a 12-ounce can has 200 milligrams of caffeine. That's equivalent to drinking 6 cans of Coke or 2 Red Bull energy drinks. That's a lot of caffeine. I don't know if you can make it illegal based off that, but man, that's something I as a parent would like to know. So if I see my kids drinking this, I can tell them to cut it out. It reminds me a little bit of, do you remember when Four Locos got banned there for a little bit?
Oh, yeah, I totally forgot about those
It kind of reminds
guys.
me of the same thing where they're like, okay, it's an alcoholic drink, but you're making people too caffeinated while they're drinking.
Right.
And they're going to have heart attacks and stuff. So I think it kind of might be the same thing. I don't know about the legalities of it.
The statement that Crying Chuck put out, quote, "One of the summer's hottest status symbols for kids is not an outfit or a toy, it's a beverage. But buyer and parents beware, because it's a serious health concern for kids it so feverishly targets." Now, I would imagine that the camp of Logan Paul and KSI and Prime would be like, we don't feverishly target kids. You know, we put a product out there just like everybody else does.
There's no Prime parades.
Right, 100%. But because of the popularity of WWE with youngsters, I think that's where we're going to have some legal stuff going on here. Tell me more about this This mayor from this area in Georgia that broke into a home.
Yeah, so he was recently arrested for breaking and entering, and I think they even added like a burglary charge. Not really sure. But he's the mayor of South Fulton in Georgia. His name is Mayor Khalid Kamoon. And he told authorities he intended to purchase the property at some point. You know, it was his dream home.
So hold on. He breaks into a house, and his rationale was,
man, I might buy this thing.
Right.
I might buy this thing.
I can't imagine that went over well with not only the authorities, but the owner.
Well, seeing that the homeowner wasn't trying to sell this thing, it was actually illegal. And the funniest part is that he hit them with the phrase that all B-list, D-list, W-list celebrities have. Do you know who the F I am?
Okay. If you have to ask that question,
then we don't know.
Nobody knows. Which brings us to great moments and do you know who I am history. This is in Florida when a congressional candidate, Martin Hyde, got pulled over.
You were observed going 57 and a 40, and you were on your phone texting while you were doing that. That was at Euclid and Fruitville.
You don't need to point at the officer.
I'm not pointing at you, I'm pointing in the direction where it was.
I'll just call the chief, that's it.
Go right ahead, sir. Can I see your license?
Right?
Yes, sir, I do.
You know who I am, right? Yes, sir, I do, and it's not going to help. Great moments in Do You Know Who I Am history. How about when Reese Witherspoon dropped her own name to the law officer?
My name is Reese Witherspoon. You're arresting me for obstruction of justice. It will be in the national news. I just want to let you know.
That's fine.
Nobody cares. None of these officers care. But I think the gold standard in Do You Know Who I Am history has to be Ron Burgundy.
Do you know who I am?
No, I can't say that I do.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Really?
People know me.
Is that a line you've used in the past, Jerry?
I will after today's show.
Please. I want you to walk up to somebody. I'm a part-time host at WIBC.
Be ready, potbellies. Do you know who I am?
Kind of a big deal. All right, we've got Mock from the Chicks on the Right coming up and Moonshine Monday. It's all on the way right now. Harrison Silcox has the news.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Killed in the line of duty. 84 degrees with a few clouds over the circle. Your radar's clear. Low temps are supposed to drop into the 60s tonight. I'm Harrison Silcox. Here's what's trending at 5:30.
I have the tragic responsibility of informing you about a death of one of our deputies today.
Marion County Sheriff Kerry Forrestall. That deputy, John Durham, was assaulted by an inmate who stole a sheriff's van this morning. That inmate later crashed it on the southeast side of Indy.
Deputies with the Marion County Sheriff's Office were able to take the suspect into custody. Deputies who were taking the suspect into custody sustained minor injuries. They were treated on scene and are not being transported.
IMPD Lieutenant Shane Foley, the inmate, was identified as Orlando Mitchell. The incident's being investigated as a homicide. The drowning of a 15-year-old Whiteland High School student May 16th has been ruled an accident by the Johnson County coroner, and the county prosecutor says no criminal laws were broken by school employees either. Elena Dildine had a seizure while swimming underneath the bulkhead that separates the swimming lanes from the diving pool. She was underwater for nearly an hour before someone noticed. After half an hour of CPR, she was pronounced dead at the scene. Ukraine does not belong in NATO, at least not yet, says Indiana Congressman Larry Bouchon.
And everybody, I think, around the world knows that in the Ukraine there has been a level of corruption over the years. They are solving that problem. I think the current president of the country has made headway.
Bouchon telling Wish TV it would also be a bad move to admit Ukraine now because then the entire NATO alliance would be drawn into a direct war with Russia. President Biden met for the first time with King Charles III. Fox's Jared Halpern reports.
The two men have known each other for decades, but met for the first time today as president and king. President Biden and King Charles III reviewed troops at Windsor Castle and met for tea. The White House is following that meeting, underscoring the strength of the relationship between the United States and the United Kingdom. The two engaged with a group of philanthropists and investors focused on mobilizing finance to address the climate crisis. President Biden is now in Lithuania for a summit with leaders of NATO nations amid the ongoing Russian invasion of Ukraine. Jared Halpern, Fox News.
The gun control ordinances proposed by Indy Mayor Joe Hogshead are up for a vote tonight with the full city council. Hogshead knows the state's Firearm Preemption Act stands in his way. He says this is a message to the state.
We hold out hope that the General Assembly, those legislators from outside the state appreciate the challenge that Indianapolis uniquely has.
Mayor Hogshead on Wish TV, banning AR-15 style rifles and eliminating permitless carry in Marion County are just a few of his proposals. With traffic at 5:32, here's Matt Baer.
You go to Harrison, looking at northbound 65. It stops. 465 up to the south split. We start moving around South Keystone Avenue, but it's pretty awful. As you move westbound 70, that's stop and go right now from the south split down to Belmont. And westbound 465 through Beach Grove stopped more than moving from 74 over to I-65. All of that because of the closure from 65 to I-70 in those westbound lanes of 465 going on through the rest of the month. Traffic sponsored by Indy Decorative Concrete. Imagine the possibilities of getting the backyard of your dreams. Expand your living space with an Indy Decorative Concrete patio. Indy Decorative Concrete, the patio experts, big enough to service, small enough to care. I'm Matt Baer. Follow us on Twitter for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
And the forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
A mostly clear Monday night as lows fall into the low to mid 60s. Tuesday, prepare for a hot day with lots of sunshine. Highs are going to be in the upper 80s, some locations in the 90s. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Stephen Deanna for 93 WIBC.
And I'm Harrison Silcox. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
You're listening to the Hammer and Nigel Show.
It is the Hammer and Nigel Show. My name is Jason Hammer. Big Nige is out today. Indy Spanglish, Jerry Lopez filling in. And let's go to the drivehubler.com hotline and bring on one half of the Chicks on the Right program. Mock joins us. Lovely lady, how are you?
I'm well. How are you doing?
Man, I'm great. And anytime there's Britney Spears drama, one of the first things I do is run to my phone and I get on the group text between you and Daisy, because I think you ladies know how I feel about Britney Spears, right?
Unfortunately, we are all too familiar with how you feel about her, yes.
So we'll get into the latest drama with Britney coming up in just a moment. But first and foremost, have you lost any of your cocaine at the White House?
I have not. I've been keeping track of all of it really well.
Is this story really a big deal? Like, Nige kind of downplays it. Oh, it's just a little cocaine. It's just a bag of blow. To me, this feels like a big deal.
Oh, my God, it's a huge deal. And actually, I'm seeing, tell Nigel that he's playing the left's game, because what I'm seeing all over socials from the left is, what's the big deal? I mean, they're just downplaying it. So a little blow was found. Who cares? But the problem is that they found it and it could have been anything. So the bigger issue is not even that it's cocaine, which is a big issue on its own, because, like, whose is it? I think we all know, but, like, who's actually going to take accountability for it? But the big issue, too, is that you can just sneak any old substance into the White House, apparently undetected, and everybody should be worried about that.
Right, because where this blow was found was near the Situation Room, and from what we were told by MSNBC, who broke this part of the story, it's not too far from where the vice presidential vehicles are. So you're talking about some high-level folks here that clearly don't need clearance for when they come in. But you're right. What if that wasn't cocaine? What if it's anthrax? What if it's something else? Because if you're not screening certain high-level folks, what else can they bring in?
Well, and it's funny that you say that about the entrance that it was found at, because my new working theory is that since they just sort of casually slid in that reference to the vice president's parking area or whatever, that this is going to be how they finally get rid of Kamala.
Bingo! I'm with you. I put the tinfoil hat on last week and said the same thing, and I got called an SOB.
No, I mean, you know how desperate they are to get rid of her, and this is such an easy way to do it. They could even blame it on the second gentleman. They could be like, your husband is seeming way too happy lately, especially because he's married to you, so that doesn't make sense. So we're going to blame it on cocaine, and we can't have that in the White House, so you're going to have to go.
I mean, do you think Kamala Harris knows how unlikable she is, or does she just live in oblivion?
She's completely in oblivion. And the reason I know that is because she keeps talking about seeing what is possible unburdened by what has been. And no one is telling her to stop saying that. No one. And so I think she's just allowed to live in this, like, cloud of denial about what people really think of her and how much the American people are on to how dumb she is.
Unburdened by what has been is like her catchphrase. Like the way Ed McMahon used to go, hi-oh, that's Kamala Harris's catchphrase. It's in every speech. But imagine if you're Kamala Harris, though. Imagine what it's like being viewed as the drag on this current Biden ticket. Because look at Joe Biden. Look at all the things that this guy has not done or has tried to do, and you're viewed as the one that's unlikable. Like, it's almost, I can't wrap my head around the idea of somebody being the unlikable one on a ticket that features Joe Biden.
Right. It's almost impossible to be that bad, and yet look at how possible she has made it.
Mock is here from the Chicks on the Right program. Are you at all into this movie about human trafficking, the Jim Caviezel movie?
Oh, my gosh, I could not be more into it. I saw it. Well, Daisy and I actually got a pre-screen invite to it from the makers, and so we saw it about a week before it actually came out. And so I watched it at home, and I watched it with my husband, and it is such a powerful, fantastic, important, well done, not gratuitous at all movie. I cannot say enough positive things about it and how important it is for everybody to see it. The fact that the mainstream media right now is trying so hard to dissuade people from seeing it tells you everything you need to know about the left. And the only excuse that I can think of that any human on the planet would try to dissuade someone from knowing what's going on with this issue is that they are pedophiles themselves or they are interested in protecting pedophiles. Because there's no reason that everybody shouldn't see this movie. None.
The movie is called Sound of Freedom, and I'm going to read you a headline here from the Washington Post. Quote, Sound of Freedom is a box office hit whose star embraces QAnon. Like, that's,
oh my God.
That's the angle here, right? If you dare go to the box office and want to watch this movie, Sound of Freedom, you might as well be putting on the buffalo hat, getting ready to storm the Capitol.
Right. And notice how, they don't ever do this when it comes to a Mission Impossible movie. They don't immediately say, well, Tom Cruise, that star of Mission Impossible, is into Scientology and Xenu and all that stuff. They never do it because it shouldn't matter what the private thoughts or even public opinion. It shouldn't matter what position or ideology the actor holds when they're simply telling an important story. Jim Caviezel, and whether he believes in QAnon or whatever else, it is insignificant and irrelevant to how important to the subject matter of this film. And so that is their go-to, right? They want to immediately attack or delegitimize the movie, the actors, the creators, whoever, in an attempt to make people not want to see it. And that is freaking bananas. Because why would you not want people to know about this issue that's happening all over the world, with U.S. being the biggest consumer of child trafficking? Why would you not want people to know that?
And I got to thinking about this the other night, and as a parent, not as a radio host or a talk show host or a political guy, as a parent, and Mock, you're a parent too, how did we get to the point to where you could say trafficking children is bad, and all of a sudden it becomes this big political dividing talking point to where, well, you must be into QAnon if you think child trafficking is bad. How the hell did we get to this point?
Well, that's a great question. And aren't you glad to be on the right side of it? Because, again, the people who are trying to pin this to QAnon or whatever are totally discounting the fact that this story is true, that this is it is a documentary, essentially. It is a film showing what actually happened with Tim Ballard and how he was able to rescue kids and how he's on a continuous crusade to rescue kids. Why would anyone want to be on the opposite side of that argument? I have no idea, except that anybody who is, I am automatically assuming that they're a pedophile, because there legit is no other reason.
Mock joining us from the Chicks on the Right, chicksontheright.com. All right, let's get into Britney Spears here, because so many headlines have come out about this situation that took place in Vegas. So this number one pick in the NBA draft, 7'5" kid, teenager from France, Victor Wembanyama. I guess Britney saw him at 7'5". He's a big drink of water. So,
oh my God.
Britney sees him at the hotel, maybe a couple other places. Well, then she sees him out having a meal somewhere in Vegas. So Britney goes up, I guess tries to touch him on the back to say, "Hi, I'm Britney. Welcome to Vegas. Let's make love." I don't know what she wants. But without even looking, Victor's entourage just pimp hands her, slaps her in the back, knocks her glasses off. But then we find out later that the police report said that Britney hit herself. And I don't know what's going on here, but why is Britney Spears chasing a 19-year-old NBA player around, Mock?
Why is Britney Spears doing literally anything that she ever does ever? Because, all it takes is one glance at her Instagram and the kind of content she's posting, dancing around, looking absolutely strung out on meth, just acting like an idiot.
But her body looks so fantastic, though, Mock. Her body she's still got the fastball when it comes to that bod.
Yeah, but look at her face. She's so... You're right, her dad right now is totally laughing at the entire country for siding with Britney about getting out of the conservatorship. He's like, see? What did I tell you?
Maybe this country owes Britney's dad an apology. I've never thought about that. But the police report says that when this guy's entourage, reached back to smack Britney away from the basketball player, they claim that his hand hit Britney's hand, which hit herself in the face. But to me, all that is when you were a kid. Did you ever play the stop hitting yourself game with your brother or your sister where you grab their hand? Stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself. I don't really think Britney hit herself. She kind of had a little assistance in that.
I know, it's very hard to, the police report was so odd to hear that she hit, to read that she hit herself. But then when you watch the one clip that's kind of been going around socials, it very much looks like she was trying to tap him on the back or the shoulder or whatever she could reach. And, his security detail or whatever immediately knocked her back. And so I don't think it looks like she hit herself. And in his defense, she doesn't look like Britney Spears anymore, so he may have just, the whole security team might have thought this is just another one of those crazy groupies, and they didn't recognize her, or they were just reacting to the arm reaching towards their guy, and they just immediately, they didn't even think to look who it was, they just immediately pushed her back. But the question, it goes back to what you said. Why, when you are Britney Spears, are you running up like a weirdo and asking to take a picture with someone? Just have your people call his people and set it up.
Right.
You don't have to chase them through a hotel or whatever.
I may need your help singing background vocals on a new Hammer and Nigel Records, Hit Me Wimby One More Time. I'm just telling you that right now. I may need your background vocals. Mock.
Oh, baby. How'd I do?
That's pretty solid. Mock from the chicksontheright.com. As always, we appreciate your time.
You bet.
It's the Hammer and Nigel Show.
Life's full of unexpected joys, like problems with water. That's why there's Michaelis, a crew of 24/7 experts who are rescue ready, day or night, one phone call, for a gazillion disasters, from frozen pipes and sewer backups to your teenager pleading ignorance on the proper use of a plunger. At Michaelis, they know that water damage waits for no one. Their fleet of trucks is, well, fleet. Over 3 decades of finding the source of the problem, then cleaning up, drying out, and restoring your home or business to better than new condition. That's Michaelis. Fully licensed and insured, and fully empathetic to your anxiety, including dealing with insurance claims. Water, storms, fire, and wet basements. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it. Call 844-FIX-INDY. Make it Michaelis.
Hey, Ruthie, I'm making my Indiana sweet corn casserole, so if you got a reco, I'm all ears.
Well, Total Wine has this amazing straight bourbon whiskey that's made with 58% corn, so no wonder it's a hit here in Indianapolis.
Perfect. I'll pop it in my cart.
Also, check it out. We have it for the lowest price in town.
Wow, that's a low price. Ruthie, you're the best in your field.
Aw, shucks. With the lowest prices for over 30 years, you'll always find what you love and love what you find. Only at your Total Wine & More in Indianapolis. Drink responsibly. Be 21.
We love spring showers, but not from leaky faucets, burst pipes, or flooded basements. If you're dealing with plumbing issues, call Justin Dorsey Plumbing. We're ready to spring into action. Call 317-648-2140 for 24/7 service and no after-hours fees. That's 317-648-2140. Don't cry about your plumbing problems. Call today, fix today is the Justin Dorsey Plumbing way.
Gilbert worked in retail and restaurant management for 14 years. It was time for a change.
I recognized where I was at was vulnerable to the whims of the economy.
Then he heard about My Computer Career. Gilbert went for it.
In as little as 7 months, I got all of my certifications at a fraction of a cost for college.
He became an IT pro in just months with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
I can work from anywhere. I have more time for my family as well.
It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
A small $1 Slurpee drink from Speedway is the perfect frozen accessory for any summer outfit or whenever outfit. Slurpee, anything flows. Expires 12/31/2023 plus tax. Visit store for details.
I'd rather be folding laundry.
This is gonna be fun.
Said no one ever. Also, no one enjoys wasting time in traffic. That's why we love saving you time. Matt Baer Traffic.
Backups are already starting.
On 93 WIBC.
Matt Baer has a look at the roads.
Yeah, Hammer, it's awful on the southeast side with those westbound lanes of 465. Stop from 74 over to I-65 because of the closure. You cannot go beyond I-65 because of the rest is closed right now up to I-70, so you're pushed onto northbound 65. That, of course, stop and go now from I-465 up to the south split. Westbound 70 also slow out to Belmont, but then you open up. Inbound 70 stop and go from Emerson Avenue to the north split. Traffic sponsored by Indy Decorative Concrete. Imagine the possibilities of getting the backyard of your dreams. Expand your living space with an Indy Decorative Concrete patio. Indy Decorative Concrete, the patio experts, big enough to service, small enough to care. I'm Matt Baer. Follow us on Twitter for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
84 at the American Standard Cooling Weather Center at 93 WIBC.
And it takes me back to a simpler place and time when we used to kick back and let the moon shine.
Moonshine Monday. Jerry, when was the last time you took a good shot of the shine? Is it a cultural thing? Am I a pasty white guy because I have a big abundance of the shine over here?
Hey, I don't know what you call it, but this is a fantastic way to get people together. So I support this 100%.
That is Jerry Lopez on Twitter at Indy Spanglish, filling in for Big Nige. So sometimes we have some bootleg stuff from Decatur County. Other times we find other distilleries that are willing to hook us up. Allison, our producer, brought us this little nugget here from North Carolina. Sugarland's Shine. This is a little Mark Rogers American Peach. So I'm going to hand you this little shot of the Sugarland's Shine Peach that Allison gave us. And before we drink this, are you making a toast to anybody?
Toast, just enjoying this moment right here. This is a great first day ever. In the history of my first days, this is the best.
Not every first day features moonshine and debauchery. So cheers, my friend. Here we go. What do you think?
That's definitely a keep. That's super smooth, super clean. That was actually very delicious.
Yes, and hat tip to Allison for hooking us up on this Moonshine Monday. All right, going to take a little break. When we come back, we will reset what's happening at the Indy City County Council meeting tonight. Boss Hogsett wants to roll out his gun plan. He also might as well roll out his unicorn plan and his free $1 million for everyone plan, because those are all, I think, equally likely to happen, which is fancy talk for no way in a million years will it happen. That's coming up next. Don't go anywhere. It's the Hammer and Nigel Show.
The Voice of Health Minute with Dr. Robert Prather of Holistic Integration.
It's like cancer. There used to be a lot of cancer clinics throughout the United States and Canada that just dealt with clearing out the liver. The liver is very well known to be a very important aspect of preventing and helping the body to deal with cancer. So if you can keep the liver clean, your outcomes for cancer treatments actually improve quite a bit. Now, the problem with the treatments, radiation and chemo, is it puts a lot of stress on the liver. But if you can keep the liver clean, then people start to do much, much better. Matter of fact, oftentimes they have to stop chemo treatments and radiation treatments if the liver gets too far off. So if we can maintain the liver working right, people can actually go through the proper treatments. See how disease care and structure function care can work in tandem with each other.
The Voice of Health with Dr. Robert Prather, Sundays at 8 p.m. or anytime at thevoiceofhealthradio.com.
Hey, this is Lisa Stofan. Heard the Mark Patrick weight loss hypnosis hype? Well, I attended because my father stopped smoking with hypnosis. Hypnosis eliminated my desire for soda and fast food, made me want to exercise, and I lost 60 pounds in 6 months. My energy level exploded. I went to another session to deal with some other problem foods, and I lost another 10 pounds. In fact, I brought my husband, and he lost weight, and his cholesterol and blood pressure improved. My friend lost 20 pounds her first 2 months.
What are you waiting for? Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose the weight or stop smoking guaranteed. Early bird special only $49.99. Hypnosis designed to destroy unwanted cravings, late night eating binges, boredom eating, stress eating. Seminars Thursday, July 20th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Noblesville. Weight loss seminar 5:30, stop smoking seminar 8 p.m. And Saturday, July 22nd at the Holiday Inn Indianapolis Airport. Weight loss seminar 11 a.m., stop smoking seminar 2 p.m. Register at markpatrickseminars.com.
Get ready for the Diamonds Direct Midsummer Savings Event. Starting Friday, you can take an extra 20% off virtually everything. Rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, and more. You get Diamonds Direct's already unbeatable price, plus an extra 20% off. Thousands of engagement mountings, fashion